Live, 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 live.
Oh, yes, it is. Fucking live. You know what I've been watching lately? So, Facebook just is sending me nonstop reels of this dude who just dubs over characters in an Alberta accent.
Yeah.
And so I've just been talking in that accent all day. I probably pissed everyone off at work.
What's the Alberta accent?
Oh, it's just that Letterkenny shit, man. It's like, we gotta go get sloshed. Take 5 shots, man. I'm 15 beers in. You just talk about drinking a lot.
It's kind of close. I mean, I guess that is the Peterson accent, right? You're just doing it without the Kermit tint on it?
Kinda, yeah. You just gotta be crude.
Starbase collab. First one in. What's up? What's been happening?
I'll try to find a good one to send you because God, I love them.
Oh, the Alberta one?
Yeah. But anyway, what else is going on? You have some fun Mormon stuff?
There's Resto. Yeah, I mean, I guess I have Mormon stuff. There's politics stuff. There's crap in the race world stuff, I guess. There's we got to do a follow up on Divas because this is the first stream after the great big meltdown. We haven't even had a reckoning on all of that quite yet. I'm surprised we're even able to stream right here.
Wait, was there another D-Base thing that happened? I thought we talked about all the D-Base stuff last time.
The whole Mormonism After Dark was.
Oh, yeah.
That was after last year, I do believe.
You're right, it was.
Coming around
the next day.
Having to pay off the bet and all that sort of stuff was all the next day. So it was a week ago, but it has not been talked about here yet. What up, Steve? What's up, Daniel Strong? What's up, Blue Meanie? Everybody's coming in hot.
Yeah,
coming in strong. I didn't even check to see because we got mentioned on that show a few times and some other ones. If it increased views at all or not. People said that they had to go see Divas's original upsetting attack video here. And I don't even know if people went to check it out there or not. I don't check the things out. I don't look at the metrics well enough. But so I woke up. If people don't know, did Divas respond? There has not been any response except last Friday morning before the Mormonism After Dark. Are we getting into it too fast? 3 minutes? Is 3 minutes too quick for people to start popping in?
Well, I did send you an Alberta thing. You could listen to that if
Let's
you
look
want.
At that and give people a couple more minutes.
I couldn't find the Lion King one. That's my favorite one, but
we sometimes get as many as like 25 listeners here, folks. Like I can't. Like I gotta wait for the crowd.
Keep shit straight.
That's it.
Yeah.
Jarvis, you there?
Fucking A, bro. What can I do for you?
Gauge heads up display.
Fucking beauty, man.
4-door preferences from home interface.
Yeah, fucking right on, buddy. I'm already on it. I'm a fucking robot, man. What the fuck?
All right, what do you say?
Does the scarecrow have a cock made out of hay, man? We're fucking ready to rip.
Walk around.
I honestly think you're fucking in the head, buddy, but whatever, man. Go for it.
Check on control surfaces.
Is that the whole thing?
Yeah, that's it. It's just a bunch of little shorts like that.
Heads up display.
Have you seen the If Orcs Talked with Normal Voices? Have you seen that one?
That sounds familiar, but I don't totally remember it.
Yeah, here it is.
Starving. We ain't had nothing but maggoty bread for 3 stinking days. Yeah. Why can't we have some meats? What about them? They're fresh.
I definitely saw
not
this.
For eating. What about their legs? They don't need those. Ooh, they look tasty. Get back, scum. Hey, yeah, come on, guys. Hey. Go to Saruman. Alive and unspoiled. Alive Why alive? Do they give good sport? You're fucking weird, dude. Then build an elvish weapon. The master wants it for the war.
I think we have the ring. Shh. As soon as they find out we don't, we're dead.
Just a mouthful. A bit off the flank. It looks like meat's back on our menu, boys.
Oh man.
They did it perfect because they didn't just do a realistic voice; they did the autistic voice.
Yeah. Oh man. So, I guess now I'm already like reeling, thinking about like remembering all the things. Flip said, well, what did Flip just say? He said it's going to be a little late, just slightly late.
Yeah.
So he should be here in a minute. Maybe we'll wait for Flip to even talk about that. But what was other? We were talking Lord of the Rings stuff earlier today. What were we talking about? We were talking about the casting. The casting of Lord of the Rings, was that right or wrong compared to the casting of Harry Potter? Which, by the way, I just saw a thing that the only kid getting recast in the new Harry Potter is the Malfoy kid because he stood by J.K. Rowling. He's got a new
He's
role.
going to be in the new Harry Potter?
Yep. I just saw it announced.
Is he going to play like Lucius Malfoy or something?
Maybe so. I don't know.
I think they already announced that guy. But
I like the actor who plays Lucius Malfoy, but you know my gripe about British guys who cannot do American accents? He was in Black Hawk Down playing a Marine. Hoorah, Marine! I'm a Marine from Black Hawk Down here. Hoorah from Alabama. And he just barely did the same accent in that show that I told you guys to watch by the dude from the dude who writes a Michael White show, the White Lotus. The White Lotus season 3. It's got Jennifer Coolidge and it's written by the guy who's in Gentleman Bronco and all that stuff. And I said, check it out. It's an okay show. He's in season 3 of that doing a Southern accent terribly again. And oh boy, does that take me out of stuff.
there's actually a funny Family Guy clip with like, he sounds out of place as Liam Neeson trying to play an American cowboy. It shows Liam Neeson on a horse. And he's just like, well, the Indians are gone from here. They must be 12 fortnights away and who knows how many meters.
Yeah, it drives me so crazy that I keep track of where it happens in shows. Not a movie worth remembering, but I remember it for this. Elizabethtown, speaking of another Lord of the Rings actor, Orlando Bloom trying to do an American accent in that is one of the worst things I ever heard in my life. Who's the dude from AI who plays the Gigolo in AI and is in everything else?
See, I always just assume that I'm wrong about the American accent. Anytime I hear a British person fucking it up, my assumption is be like, oh, I must just be wrong about
maybe an American sounds like that somewhere.
Yeah. No, that's Sons of Anarchy. The guy that plays Jax, Charlie Hunnam, is British. And his voice sounds so weird in that. He's like, Tara, what are we doing here? And
well, it's the guy from Walking Dead, the same. The dude who goes, Coral,
yeah,
Coral. Jude Law in one of my favorite shows, I Heart Huckabees, which is a really good show about existentialism. But Jude Law has to pop up in it and having a terrible American accent in the middle of the whole entire thing.
Have you weighed in on the gorilla question yet?
The gorilla question, yes. I think that it would take 4,000 tanners to get even a hit off on the gorillas.
Okay, but we're saying it's men.
What?
So,
I thought it was tanners.
Yeah. It's if you could shoot the tanners out of a cannon or something.
You could turn the tanners into weapons.
You could like sharpen them or something and throw them at the.
I think the gorilla would beat the shit out of 100 people.
You think?
If he has the stamina. It's just a stamina question. Like he wouldn't lose until he lost the stamina.
I just think with a gorilla taking on a dude, it's going to take him a little bit to kill one dude. And while he's trying to kill one dude, he's got like 10 other guys jumping on him.
He's so much stronger than
He's a lot stronger
than the dude. And he would pulverize him in 2 seconds. Gorillas have like a stronger bite by like 2 times than like a wolf.
Oh yeah, if he bites your arm, you're fucked.
And
Or bites anything, you're fucked. But it's funny because this got into another. Like I got into one of the most heated debates I've had in years over just the most trivial bullshit. Because I'm in this group where they talk about like who would win, this or this, and sometimes they talk about like fictional heroes from different franchises, and sometimes they talk about animals, and they're talking about the gorilla thing. And this one guy's like, you guys are underestimating gorillas. They're real strong. Who would win, 2 silverback gorillas or a grizzly bear? And I was like, a grizzly bear. And
I think
like,
the grizzly would win too.
oh yeah, well, and he was mad at me. Like I wasn't heated. I was just saying I'm pretty sure the grizzly bear would win. And he's like, they're silverback gorillas. You think they're pussies? I was like, no. But I could name like 3 land animals I think would be able to beat a grizzly bear, and one of them's another kind of bear. Panda.
I'm trying to find that simulation, but I think one of the problems with it is they talk about like that hall problem, the thing that happens in that Korean movie, and it's also in Daredevil, where there's only so many people who can attack at once. So really, the gorilla is only ever taking 8 guys at once, really.
Yeah.
And then,
but there's also, I don't know, there's going to be rocks on the ground. Men could distract it. Gorilla's not as smart.
I thought part of the thing was they could use no weapons. It had to just be.
I don't know. I just figured it was in the forest, so you could pick up a rock and throw it. And we're way better at throwing than gorillas. If
using like the human brain and adding in weapons was part of it, I totally take the humans. I thought it was that it just had to 100% be like as if it were in a wrestling ring.
Okay, yeah, that would be more difficult.
Although it's not
much like a human punch could do to a gorilla. Because at that rate, it's like how many times do I have to shoot you in the head with an airsoft gun before you died?
I saw somebody say that like the smart thing that humans could do if they could
just run away.
Is that they could just wear them out by making them charge until they gave up and passed out.
Yeah, someone was saying we have more endurance than gorillas.
Yeah, I can see that. But if they were like in a ring, like inside a WWE wrestling cage, and they had to fight, I think the gorilla would win. Like, unless
100 is a lot of guys. 100 is a lot of guys.
Look how far he punches them when he punches them.
I feel like this conversation is the autistic hero of the week. What the hell are you guys talking about?
Well, you're autistic hero of the week because you don't pay attention to internet. This is a major debate all over Twitter and everything for some reason.
You can beat a gorilla?
The most viewed tweet in like tweet history, it's got like 283 million views, was just some guy, and he used the N-word. He's like, who would win, 100 Annas or a gorilla? It got like 285 million views of people weighing in on
100?
100 men versus a gorilla.
Yeah.
I mean,
this simulation is to the gorilla.
Like, are they fighting one at a time? I don't know.
Well, I think you can only really do 8 at a time because of just how it goes there.
Have you ever seen there's a few different versions of them, but they're real. They're videos of like a team of top level professional soccer players playing against like 108-year-olds.
Yeah, and the soccer players win.
Oh yeah.
And then of course we all know that if it was like any of us versus 100 Tanners, it'd be easy. And this is probably even more than us versus a Tanner, you know.
Yeah, I mentioned that if you could fire the Tanners out of a cannon, you might have a chance.
Yeah. Although I don't know that I'd be afraid of a cannon Tanner.
I know it'd be kind of like throwing a plastic bag at someone's face.
Yeah, if somebody said I've got a Tanner and a cannon and I'm coming for you, I'd be like, all right, well, I'll take a nap. Let me know when you get here.
Did you ever watch Open Season, the animated movie?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's like about a bear and a deer who are friends. And anyway, one of the running gags through the whole thing is the bunnies. Like the bunnies are the only animals that don't talk, and they're almost like a precursor to the minions. Like the animals just like use them for whatever. Like if you need to wipe your nose, you just pick up a bunny and throw it away. Or like one of them's trying to get the attention of the other one, so he starts throwing bunnies at the window instead of pebbles. At the end, they have like a snowball fight, but with bunnies. That's what I picture every time you say Tanners.
Well, 3 different simulations here give it to the gorilla. And I 100% agree with you. If any sort of human brain can be used at all, it starts edging towards the humans. But
the simulation isn't using human brain right there. They're just some of them are rushing it, and the other ones are twirling around in the like. You got to run away a little bit.
But that's how I imagined that the fight would be. Is like they're forced to combat, and they can only use their bodies. And in that sense, I think.
I was just thinking in a forest, and I'm like, yeah, no.
Unless he completely gasses out.
I'd be like, yeah, no weapons. I get that.
Well, if it's the world, humans, because the same way humans won in the world, they'd win in the world again. You know, they'd figure out how to do something. But anyway, that's all that we have that sorted out now. All right, let's Divas news roundup. The news on Divas roundup. The news on the roundup of the Divas.
He put out 80 things this week, didn't he?
Just about.
And one of them was original content.
The reason I call myself the fair abuser is because after our little thing last Thursday, I woke up Friday morning to a copyright strike. We got a copyright strike, and Steve Pinecker as well got a copyright strike. And I had to sit through copyright school. And I recorded the copyright school, and I'm going to show it to you now without commentary.
We're going to get copyright
I know. I really do have it saved, and I was going to play it like, wait a minute, I can't do that. But so what the problem is that the copyright claim was based off of that video that I boomered, not off of our video last week. It was that video that I boomered that I used to review his video that I just uploaded an edit with like 15 minutes of Maven sobbing out of it. And, she asked me if like you edit 15 minutes of Maven sobbing out of a video, that sufficiently transforms the video.
Yeah, that is now your content.
That is now my content.
You've earned it.
Yeah. I mean, especially if we made Maven cry, then that's ours.
That's rough, yeah.
So no, I mean, it was true that I think that one was technically a thing that you could claim was a fair use. And then he found the video that we watched of Steve's saved attack video of him, which he had recorded on the phone. And since Steve had never put commentary on that video, it's really strange because I thought that even the video that he copyright struck on us, everybody knows, right, that like in YouTube and social media land, copyright strike is like major no-no. Everybody knows that like Hassan Piker just sits there all day just watching other people's videos without commenting on them, and people never copyright strike him because ever since H3 Ethan went after that guy and won in the lawsuit, it's become a far and wide known thing that if you copyright strike anybody, you are the biggest douchebag in the world. Like, even though there are times where it's like Hassan Piker should be getting copyright struck. Yeah. You know, he's just sitting there eating food, watching other people's videos, and never gives a commentary. I mean, Mahler and all those guys did long videos of watching him not add commentary to other videos that he streams for hours and days on end, just watching other people's videos while he sits there eating chicken nuggets. Speaking of which,
we should just stream one of Hassan's streams and just not say anything the whole time.
Just like 13 hours of it. And the New York Times, first off, he was invited on stage at Coachella this week, and the New York Times gave a love letter to the model guy. Did you see? I forget like what the title of it. I can find it, but the New York Times did a think piece on Hassan Piker.
Holy shit!
Yeah. But he's famous for just sitting there and not doing commentary on people's videos, and just getting super chats and stuff for it. But the plot thickens beyond just being like a douchebag for doing that, because we totally did commentary on Divas's thing the other way. He's just being vindictive or petty right there at that point. But I understand getting vindictive or petty, because all we were doing was taking a giant diarrhea dump on him. Do you think Divas does pretty good with the fair use stuff himself? I've been thinking about if I bring this up or don't bring this up, because it's like so stinking obvious. But I don't know if people are going to copyright strike him or not. But we have these videos that he puts out of
The anthologies.
people's entire TikTok anthologies. And you want to know what one of the first videos after last Friday that he put out after copyright struck me and Steve? He put out an entire anthology video of, who's that guy? Ben Parker? Is that who it is?
I don't know.
Benjamin Parker.
You know, I bet I know what it was. I bet you copyright struck the laugh impersonation I did. I better not do that anymore.
Yeah. So, I mean, we didn't even go into that because we didn't even talk about, we had the bet going in to the Mormonism After Dark of who did the video or not. And we came in, and then we were all over the Mormonism After Dark video. They're paying off bets and all that stuff. If you go and watch it last week. And I had guessed right at the very end of the episode that it was maybe not Divas and maybe that weird apologist who had done the fake black person. Did you guys ever follow that?
I only remember you talking about it. I didn't.
Steve Pinecker was the one who helped find the guy, but there was some guy who faked being a black apologist, and they had exposed him. But the only reason I jumped to that is because I thought Bill and those guys seemed a little bit too excited to reveal who it was, and I thought that excitement said, like, I thought they might not be that excited about Divas. I thought they'd be more creeped out about Divas, you know.
Yeah.
And so just like my slight jump of a guess was on that excitement, not on it. Totally seemed obviously like it was Divas. Do you guys remember all the points that they made about the email to see if it was Divas or not Divas?
I remember it went into some amount of autistic detail. Like they mentioned how he's the only one that ever calls Mormon Discussions MD.
Yeah, he's got that L. Ron Hubbard obsession with making everything into an acronym.
Yeah.
Yeah, he calls MD, and then I think there was something about they showed the initial part of the email. Then when he was confronted on it by Colch, he said something about some typos in it that weren't yet revealed, supposedly, if that's the order of how things really went. And so he kind of gave himself away right there by talking about unrevealed typos in it. Yeah. And let's see. So here it is. Like, so I looked it up. Is this stuff fair use? So he's got 8 or 9 different videos like this. Is just streaming them end to end, is that fair use change? You know, all he does without commentary is take their entire TikTok videos.
Week in Ex-Mormonism, your one-stop show for the latest.
Oh, better put some commentary for the banana right there. I don't want a copyright strike.
It's Mormon
Oh, look at this fag. Look at this fag. Look at this fag. Look at this fag.
community.
Look at this douche. Look at this douche. Look at this douche.
Each week, we'll bring you the top
Isn't this guy such a douche? He's such a damn douche.
clips from your favorite creators like John Dellin,
Has it been 15 seconds? Has anybody called him a douche yet?
And he's using AI narrator.
John Dellin.
Exmo Lex, Nuance Ho, RFM, and more.
So, I mean, this was sample because he's done like an entire one on RFM.
Stormy,
This is the entire
You
nuance.
look like
of it,
mommy,
you know.
baby. Hi, we're
Just
missionaries.
stream
Can I share
together
this book with you?
her TikTok
Name's Stacy.
videos
So, what's your
end
book
to
about?
end.
It's called The Book of Mormon. It's a real historical account of a small group of Jews that fled.
Cool.
Like, do they not know? Because, like, I would just think that they, like, I want them to. copyright.
RFM now knows. I know that RFM knows because I showed it to Steve Pinecker, and Steve Pinecker showed it to RFM. And I've been debating on whether to talk about this because maybe he can like get ahead of it and take it down before he gets copyright struck. But this isn't just one channel; it's like 8 or 9 different channels. All 9 of them have a valid copyright strike that they could put on him if all 9 of them did it at once. it's bye-bye YouTube channel. And it's also a violation of the terms of service of TikTok.
I mean, because like I saw one this week that was literally a 5-hour video.
That's
that
who it
he
was.
just
And he
stole
released
on
that
Epic.
right after copyright striking us for the 30-minute video that we edited down just to comment on.
Oh, that reminds me.
Accidentally released.
You should send
I was
him back
gonna-
that gift that he sent you.
Say an
Oh, yeah.
important thing this week because we learned so much from Divas about accountability. And so there's a lot of times on this show that I have said that Divas is a narcissist, and I need to take accountability and apologize. He's a malignant narcissist. He's not just any ordinary, harmless, hilarious narcissist. No, he's a dangerous piece of shit.
Yeah, the stuff he's done is pretty wild and weird, man. And then,
Casey says Dive's anthology videos are like meth heads stripping copper wire out of houses.
Here it is. Look at this. So this was sent over. This is
occurred one. Only when there's
1 hour of him sharing RFM, a lawyer's TikTok videos.
expired writing. Yes, this expression occurs.
Do you think he put the music on him? I doubt that because TikTok's way more loose with music than YouTube is or something like that, but maybe he did. But
1 week ago today, on March 19th, 2023, Elder Kevin
you think he makes it fair use by just putting background music? Is that what he's doing? Or is that already there on the TikToks?
Pearson of the First Quorum of the 70 challenged the older.
I don't think it'd pass like a fair use challenge test, if you ask me. But I don't know. Who's to say what to say? He is baby reindeer. Oh man, do you mean that he got drugged up by a guy and had a second puberty and became the gay? Oh no, he stalks people. That part. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that morning when he copyright struck us, he sent me a text message that just said "Let's play" or something like that, and I texted back "LOL pussy." That's about as far as that went.
I messaged him and then he just sent me back a screenshot of what he sent you. And
Let's
then
play.
What?
Just the let's play?
Yeah, he just sent me a screenshot of your guys' conversation. And then I had to message him
But
again.
that's the whole conversation. He just sent the thing and I just put in LOL pussy.
I know, that was it. And then I had to message him again later when the Mormonism life thing was going on to just be a dick. It's like, you're watching this, right? LOL.
Dude, he had to have been watching. He's so obsessed.
Oh, for sure.
That's gotta be like the weirdest thing in the world when it's all said and done. Because let's pull up an old thing that Jonathan made for us here. Jonathan made us a long while back. He gave us a bunch of pictures of Divas blowing himself up, and we'll see if I can find him here. Here we go. When we made it, we said, Divas is always like making AI videos of himself, like looking all hot and sexy, and we're like, make him the biggest, buffest, baddest Chad of all time. Like just quadruple down on that and self-destruct like right off. Because like none of this had to happen. Like I don't understand an ounce of it. I don't understand why at all. But
I think it's because he's not blowing up as fast as he thinks he deserves to blow up.
Is that all it is?
I think that's it. I think he's really, I don't know. That's just kind of
that's just timing, Divas. Like if you had been doing your slop, 2019, it would have blown up more.
Well, and if you had started doing your slop and not, been a dick to like the nicest guy in the ex-Mormon world, you wouldn't have pissed everybody off. I don't know. If you just wouldn't have pissed everybody off, you'd have grown quite a bit, I bet. Maybe. I don't know. Ex-Mormons eat this slop up like daily.
I can't believe how many new channels I see pop up. The YouTube algorithm shows me. So it's the same. Why I left the Mormon church. I don't need to watch that. I already know.
I was just listening. So just today, that uncertainty Carly gal. Did you guys remember her. We brought her up on here before. We played some of her clips with her husband because he used to do a show called Faith Unraveled with her husband. And she's announced they've gotten divorced. And she's been kind of mum on what happened to the divorce, but she's put out some stuff of like, you get a lawyer and you get a prenup and you get a lawyer and a prenup now. So, you know, of course they had like a video that was all like, we've gone to Buddhism school and now we're all about love and shit. You know, that sort of stuff. But it didn't turn out so hot. Anyway,
you get a lawyer so the court system doesn't fuck you over, ladies.
I was listening to her and she was giving her backstory. She's like, when did you get into this? She's like, I got in before the great Mormon purging of the COVID. I've been here at the start since online Mormon content, 2019. It's like, well,
a veteran. Holy shit.
I got in here at the start of this.
We have so much to learn from her.
Well, one of the things I learned is that you got to keep your own money and you got to sue that man the second he tries to divorce you. After I learned for a year on like how to have like a better relationship because now we're Buddhist or something. Not to make fun of divorce, but yes, to make fun of divorce because it's over there on Divorce Channel with the Divorce Ho and but Divorce Ho is now divorced from Divorce Brit. Not Brit, not the TikTok Brit, the British divorce gal. What's
queen?
Divorce queen, yeah. I guess she might become like I guess she's written like a Substack on the divorce and all that sorts of stuff now. But sorry, I'm getting off topic of divas to get on to Exmo women who all just become divorce queens, which I guess is the thing. But they talk about it here. They say one of the reasons you get divorced is because that's what happens when you have your blah.
I just realized that I wasn't living my truth and being my own person.
Yeah. This was actually, you know how we said it's hard to listen to stuff on triple speed? This was an easy speed listen. This one's a triple speeder, folks.
On there,
probably eliminates a lot of vocal fry too.
The main themes that you're passionate about.
I think I got on TikTok in 2020 because I left the church in 2019. So this is before the COVID cohort left. And then I started seeing some ex-Mormon content pop up and like comments, like Mormon commenters responding. And I thought, I can argue this better than like, not better than ex-Mormon content creators, but like, oh, I have a good response to this commenter, or I feel like I can stitch something that I can say.
I'm all worried about fair use now, so I'm a fair abuser. So I got to like cut in here to say divas is a twat.
That will maybe hit the mark, whatever. So I got on, I made a couple, I started making videos and just sharing my thoughts and opinions. And it wasn't like I wanted to get on and gain a following. I just wanted to get on and give my thoughts. And I already had an Instagram account, my Uncertainly Carly account that I made. I think I made them around the same.
You see what I mean? This has got to be like a triple speeder.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I didn't even really want to gain a following.
Oh man, why is it only triple speed on the cell phone, man?
Yeah, I don't know.
Time. So I started posting on Uncertainly Carly in 2020. I made a separate account just so my Mormon family members didn't have to see me posting anything ex-Mormonish on my personal Instagram. And then I started TikTok, and then I took a break for a while. But yeah, I've been around like since the beginning days of ex-Mormon content creators.
That's the beginning days.
Holy cow!
Within the first 20 years,
somewhere around there. Yeah, I by 2,100 or what 20? Yeah, 2,100. It will be kind of the beginning. Yeah. Do you guys know that like if you get like a lot of compliments you get a lot of compliments on your looks, it's not a compliment, guys? Did you know that? It's not a compliment.
How many muscles and how much bank account somebody has.
Like if people are just kind of constantly giving you compliments on how good you look, it's not a compliment, guys.
Oh, is it?
I just want you to know that.
Is it patriarchal pressure for you to continue trying to maintain an unrealistic standard of beauty?
I'm just bringing it up because it's not, guys. I'm tired of it.
Okay, I'll stop telling you how pretty you are.
I'll never say anything nice to another woman ever again.
I had
boom,
this.
boom, 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 boom. Oh, could this be fair use using Jonathan's stuff? Divas is a twat.
Oh shit.
What were you saying?
Oh,
I was saying that Divas is a twat.
That's a good point.
There's a lady that I worked with, and she just told me about how much of a twat Divas is. No, she did that thing that you were just doing. She put on one of her stupid ass tweets was, "I'm so tired of people telling me how strong I am because I don't want to have to be strong. I just want to be okay." You're not strong. You have a mental breakdown at work every day over nothing. Your job is the easiest thing in the world. I do all of your work for you because you tell me you have a tummy ache all the time. Some dude at the beginning of, like, when you started working here said good morning to you, and you snapped at him saying, "I'm not a fucking morning person." Everything is handed to you. You don't do anything. You're not strong. Why do you think you're strong? I've watched you sob because you thought the car door was locked.
Oh man. So I mean, I was watching Kim Ka. I didn't even know, like, it was funny because, like, I'd seen her stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, what are these? I haven't seen them around. I hardly look at TikTok anymore. What's going on? And the very first thing I click on, well, I'm divorced. I'm like, oh, come on. Hey, come on.
As of a few weeks ago. And I learned some things in the process of divorce that I wanted to share with women specifically. I actually wrote like a long Substack
Why just women?
About this. So you can go click on the link in my bio and read that if you want. It's behind a paywall though, because I put a lot of time into it. Here's a few key highlights. Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. Okay, especially if you've been married a long time, and especially if you have multiple assets and children. Some couples
get a lawyer when you're going through a divorce. I'm glad you didn't leave that one behind a paywall there.
Novel advice.
Well, at least it's not $2,500 to get advice to get divorced.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to get that advice from Sam every week?
Here's some advice. If your husband made more money than you, he'll pay for your lawyer. How the law works. Because equality.
No, don't you know that was all just as much her money all along? Didn't you know that?
I can't fucking take this tone that they always use where it seriously sounds like they're just chastising every single one of you and making it feel like you all cheated on me and now I am getting revenge on you. Like, what are you talking to me for, lady? Like, why do you gotta talk like this? Why does it gotta be so snarky and shit?
Yeah, and that's totally true. And I had some other one here because, like, every other post of hers is just raging misandry, you know.
Yeah, it's you listen to these people talk, and it's that tone of voice where you like look around and you're like, "Wait a minute, are you mad at me?"
Yeah, like I'm telling you, this is every.
For a minute, but I love insulting men if they deserve it, right? If they're coming into my comment section.
Wait, why is that specific to men? Wouldn't you just love insulting anyone if they deserve it? I love insulting black people if they deserve it. Is that racist? Or because I love insulting all people if they deserve it.
It's just that they're just allowed to bounce around with their bald-faced misandry, you know, and just get away with it. Lady, you're a misandrist.
Well,
you're a terrible person. You're a bad person.
How many
I don't judge that hard that often, and I judge you that way. You are the bad person. What were we saying?
How many likes did she get to tell everybody how much she hates men?
115.
That was only 115, man. 25. When you called out the Mormon guy for following OnlyFans models, ha 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 ha, because she revealed at the end of her Kara thing that she got into OnlyFans while she was married.
She did?
Yeah, she sure did.
Oh, God.
I don't know if that's
while she was married.
Yeah, it had to be because she just got divorced and it was in the past, right?
It's fucking shocking that the marriage didn't last.
She didn't say OnlyFans, but it was OnlyFans. She said it's at the end of the Cara Burrell episode. She started saying, started getting into this thing where I started posting my self for sexual pictures for other men. And then what I realized is that it wasn't about those men. It was about me. It was about me deciding if I didn't even think about those other men. Yeah, lady. Yeah, lady.
Think about the money that they give you.
Yeah.
Imagine owning a Pizza Hut franchise and you're like, this is about me making pizza. It has nothing to do with the fucking customers. I don't care if they hate the pizza. You don't? You're gonna lose your franchise.
You know what? I don't like female. Forrest prefers the term female supremacist. I don't like the concept of tearing a woman apart. I would like it if you were nice and cool, you know what I mean? Or if you were the type of person that we could say something to you like, come on, like, okay, yeah, that was harsh. If you were just that at all, you know, you'd be fine, you know. But no,
yeah, but you're a jackass.
Yeah. And no, I mean, I don't feel like I want to walk around going and putting women in their place at all. Women like this, you know, but I don't get a thrill out of it. I wish you guys just weren't about and around being that way. But you are. Can't be mad at the cosmos. Here's another one.
Men have exactly
He's right.
6 responses to a woman online who's making a good point.
Wait a minute. Is she gonna tell this guy he has a small dick or that he can't get laid?
No, she's gonna label out.
Yeah,
I was gonna. You have one. You have call them an incel or say they have a small dick. You have. I mean, really the same thing. That's it. But no, she's just labeling out what the men say to her, which I'm sure you catch shit from men on stuff, but I don't know. Do you guys? They're out. Men are like that out there. Guys commenting on the stuff. A bunch of them, 13-year-olds on the internet commenting too. But have you ever gone to like a woman's thing and just been like, you can't get sex, haha? I don't know.
That would be devastating for a woman. That would be such a devastating. A woman who couldn't get sex would be, oh my god. Like, if you're a man and somebody tells you can't get sex and you really can't get sex, you're gonna be like, oh. But for a woman getting sex, that's like shooting fish in a barrel, man.
Anyway, another influencer gets the divorce. That's about. I don't like the whole determinism stuff, but man, they make good arguments for that. They make good, not out of their mouth, just out of their what they end up doing in the end and all that sorts of stuff. But I guess Kara's back doing stuff like that instead of just covering the Tim Ballard stuff, which is super boring. But you want to know what's funny is like just last night on Tim Pool, they brought up Tim Ballard and the
oh really
the freedom thing and all that stuff, and they're like, that guy's great. Oh my gosh, he's so cool. Oh, he saved all these kids, and they're just completely oblivious. Like the normie take on Tim Ballard was actually kind of surprising to me that they didn't know that he had all that shifty accusations going to him. Just hearing them just kind of flip out about that, but. So I guess Nuance Ho has more work to do. Anyway, I'm way off topic. That Divas is a twat.
Yeah, we need to not stray too far from that, lest we get copyright struck.
So do you think they made the case that it was Divas who made it?
Yeah,
I mean, I think I made the case that it was Divas when I watched it, and I was like,
knew.
That's definitely Divas.
Yeah. Why? Like, why did he do that?
Why do it?
Yeah.
What
did he think? Like
self-destruct button, man. I don't know.
That's the weird thing about Divas is like I feel like in most cases, like think of like all the Juicy Smollier cases in the world. You get why Juicy Smollier did that.
Oh yeah, I understand why.
But I don't with Divas. Like I don't know what Divas is doing.
That's why I'm working on my that's why I was telling you my hypothesis. Oh, what was it? Just earlier I was mentioning it.
That he felt that he just had to. He's mad that he didn't.
Oh yeah. I think he's enraged. This dude is so easy to make him feel like he's been betrayed. He did it to Signature Books. and he did it to like Steve Pinecker. I can't even remember what his beef was with Steve, but apparently he didn't like Steve early on for some dumb reason. He had some beef with RFM and Bill Reel. He made that really passive aggressive video about them.
Yeah, when he was first passive aggressive about him, I don't know where that was coming from.
But like, it's really easy for him to feel like he's been betrayed by you, and I think he feels like the amount of work, the amount of time you put into something, should yield direct results to the amount of success.
He's got the Marxist theory of
the Marxist theory of labor,
emotional
labor value. Yeah,
emotional labor.
Value.
You're right.
And
that is the Marxist theory of labor, right? It's
and it feels like when that doesn't play out, he just shakes his fist at the sky, and I don't know, maybe he's just trying to take down the people who are more successful at it than him, and that's what that felt like when he was lashing out at Bill and RFM. And so I don't know, it's all the self-destruct button. It's all just maybe he's just desperate, and the only attention you can get is being a twat.
I mean, he's genuinely confused that he's not rich and famous and not the biggest Mormon producer of content. Sorry, biggest producer of Mormon content.
The Exmo Kage.
But he really just wasn't that patient, because I thought he was on, especially when he blew up, he was on pace to start turning like a corner.
Yeah, he was going up, but I don't know. I listened to when Morgan was doing her YouTube channel, she's listening to all these people tell you how to do a YouTube channel. And one of the things they kept telling her is frequency is the key, or not just frequency, but consistency.
Yeah, you got it.
And so I'm sure that he read that like a person who posts once a week is going to get a better time in the algorithm than somebody that posts like once every day for 4 days and then stops for a month and then does 4 again or whatever. And he just did the math and he's like, well, logically speaking, if I post every single day
or
for
multiple
2
times
years, multiple times a day, then I should just, I'm going to cruise up there. And he even said that in his, he mentioned in one of his things, like, I am going to be the biggest Exmo podcaster out there. And that's why I always do the Naruto joke. You guys aren't familiar with Naruto, but that's
just the run.
Yeah, that's his whole thing. Yeah, there's the Naruto run, but his whole thing is like he's not very talented, but he wants to climb the ranks and he wants to be the leader of his village. And the leader is called the Hokage. And so he'll be like, I will be the next Hokage. And that's why I always make the joke for D-Face. I will be the Exmo Kage.
Yeah. They covered it on Ward Radio. Dan Ellsworth, he made like a long Twitter post on it. And then they covered it. Did you guys watch that at all?
No.
I read most of Dan's post, but I didn't.
The Dan's post, yes. Wait, I didn't watch all of that Ward thing. I caught a little bit of it.
It's mostly just covering what the post said. I think it has like a lot of good points about some like the organizational things of I guess he's kind of more going after Bill and RFM, which we did a little bit too, but the problem is like that sort of thing points at all of us, man. If it's part of those Robert Conquest rules, that, like, unless your organization is explicitly right wing, it's going to drift left wing, and Leviathan always swims leftward, and if it gets taken over by a managerial class, you can just like assume it's being run by a cabal of its own enemies. Those types of rules, which generally seems to happen. But
yeah, you had a good run, Mormonism.
Ex-Mormonism, man. What I think is funny is just the implosions just don't stop. Like there is a general feeling that the country's a little bit past all this stuff. Like nobody doesn't care. And in the midst of that, the very same extreme struggle sessions are just hitting every single day still for people who, it's like some people just said, no, we're not going to play that game anymore. And they're invincible just because they say that. And then the people like, we'll play it a little bit, are getting the full brunt of it, which kind of brings up, well, a couple different things. There's the Shadur Sanders case, which made me feel bad for all the times I didn't believe in systemic racism because I believe in it now. Deion Sanders' son fell in the draft 5 rounds, and now I want to march. I feel the same thing that Maven felt when she just was like, "Oh, Selma, those people did such good shit, Selma, and I didn't do the shit, and here I am, haven't been doing the shit." And I saw Shador Sanders fall in the draft, and that had to have been for racism, and I just felt chastised.
Well, there's definitely racism in the NFL. Like, you justify this white supremacy for me. Black men make up 6% of the American population, and they only make up 53% of the NFL.
When was the last time a talented young black athlete was selected in the first round of the NFL draft?
Well, there was the number one pick was a black quarterback, but
he was code switching though.
Code switching.
Was he white adjacent? If he's good like Tom Brady, then he's just acting white. So
yeah, he didn't act thuggish like the other guy, which made him. It was just so much racism. I mean, I saw the guys on the TV like with red face yell racism, and that's what got through to me finally. You know, 'cause there was guys on the TV and their faces were red and going, "Yeah, racism," and like I'm like, "Oh, I get it now." I've been reading all that like theory and stuff like that. I know you've been at it with a guy on Facebook, Flip, where you talked about queer theory. He's like, "It's not about queer theory. It's just about what we see." And I'm like, man, we've been too theory brained about this stuff. Just not seen red-faced people yell it. I just haven't been open to that. And now that I see it, like, I feel so terrible that I could live in a country where a multi-million-dollar athlete in the 90s who was the biggest showboat in the world and played both ways in multiple sports and got all the commercials in the world, who was a showboat and did not code switch at all 30 years ago, that his son went through the worst racism that we could possibly imagine.
I'd like to see is it the owners of the NFL team? Like, are they getting some input in there? Is that what's happening? Because they got to be more racist than like the coaches, right? The owners got to be in there with the coaches, and they're going over the draft pick, and they're in their white suit and black bow tie with a monocle on, and just like, sir, this is Shador Sanders. He is a generational, perhaps multi-generational talent. There is no one better than him. And, I don't know about that. He seems to talk in jive. Nah, he's going to make you billions, sir. Nah. No, you get one that talks like a respectable white man. Yeah. I don't care if we lose the Super Bowl.
I thought it was funny that the dad of the kid who stole his phone number to prank call him got a $100,000 fine. Which, like, I mean, I sort of get it because, like, it's his job to, like, make sure that stuff doesn't leak. But, like, I would also kind of figure, like, well, it's safe in my home. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's probably a little, you could construe it as being irresponsible on his part, but
yeah, I guess, yeah. But, like,
then you got that guy all pissed off.
Is that kid grounded and he's mowing lawns until he comes up with $100,000?
They should. You notice that his kid's like Asian though too, so his kid's a kid of color. I've got a kid of color. My child of color should not have done this. Well, I guess he's the wrong color though. He's also he's not Harvard affirmative action friendly. So you know,
that is a fucking funny prank call though.
And meanwhile, like here in like Mormon land, we got you want to see the widest thing that I've ever seen come out of Mormon land. This is the widest thing I've ever seen come out of Mormon land.
What I see, it was popcorn popping on the apricot tree. Oh God, yeah. It was blossoms popping right before my eyes. Popping, yeah, popcorn popping.
Divas is a twat.
And they were popping. Popping on the top.
Yeah, that has to be my line from now on to make sure that I'm not getting like going over copyright. Like,
yeah, if you don't have any commentary to do.
Divas, just a friendly reminder, Divas is a twat. But I just can't believe how white this is. Like
corn popping on the apricot tree.
Holy hell.
I was gonna pull some footage of all those ESPN people screaming the racism. They canceled the black version of Tangled coming out. They canceled it. Just for this. Like, we're in a racist times, man.
Was it called Nappy? Yeah, that was. They had to cancel it. Like, oh fuck, that's right. That's how Don Imus lost his job.
Francesca something Rivers was reportedly cast as Rapunzel. And I believe this is the same woman who was opposite of Tom Holland in that Romeo and Juliet. Romeo, where art thou? Yeah. Yo.
Where you is, Romeo?
Where you at?
Let down your weave, Rapunzel.
Yeah, this structural racism stuff, you know, I'm with.
I'm not finna let down my weave till you give me some money to get my nails did.
Yeah, those two black kids did dance pretty white though. Like, did they, like, not just the song? Like, they were kind of. I mean, is this good dancing? Far be it from me, but is this good dancing?
Rapunzel, it's me, Flanarius Rider.
Is that, like, I don't know.
I feel like I've seen better dancing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's Mormon dancing, man. Like,
that looks like a dad, like a Mormon dad at a steak dance who kind of knows what he's doing.
I mean, it's got some Quaku feel to it.
Well, okay, here's the thing.
Quaku's always felt pretty white to me too.
It's literally impossible to look cool while wearing that. So I don't know. Maybe they're great. I just can't tell. You cannot look cool in a short white sleeve shirt.
I guess that's true. You know, they would probably be dancing pretty good if they were just in cooler clothes.
He's probably twirling on his head right now. We just can't see it.
If they were able to dress like the sister missionaries, they'd be looking cool. You know, I always felt that, even though, like, sister missionaries, like the stuff we looked at last week, was like, oh my gosh, they're able to wear whatever they want now. I still felt that back in the day. Like, all we could wear was like a dark suit, and they could wear kind of whatever. And then,
that's why missionaries got. Did you get obsessed with ties?
Oh yeah. Then I found this really ugly orange tie, and then that was the only tie I wore like the last 6 months of my mission.
Dude, paisleys were the biggest trend when I was on my mission, and I hated ties. I got one from each of my companions and gave them one as sort of a thing, but like, I fucking hate ties. And they would always look at my knot and they'd be like, your knot looks like shit. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Ties are stupid and I hate them. And then since my mission, I probably wore a tie, like, I don't know, at weddings, and that's about it. Like, seriously, even when we were going to church, like when we were first married, I remember I'd go to Elders Quorum. I just have a red button-up shirt, no tie. And I remember this dude in Elders Quorum. He's like, man, my wife would never let me wear that. And I was like, well, you could just wear it anyway. He's like, oh, no, gotta keep her happy.
Like, buddy, this is a patriarchal church. She can't complain. Don't you know?
Would you let your couch tell you what to wear? No, this is your property. Come on.
Silence her. She can't do anything about it. No one else will say anything.
Charles, vintage thrift store ties on my mission were treated like cigarettes in prison.
Yeah.
No, that's right. There was I don't even remember. There was a tradition of handing down really ugly ties. And I had a very coveted tie, because not only was it like a really wonderfully like wide 70s style tie, but it had been owned by a missionary that got sent home for sleeping with some older lady. It might have been Morgan's mom.
I hope she never watches this.
Yeah, my orange tie was like, it looked like a carpet, like an orange carpet, and just like Charles said, it was kind of like a form of currency. It was so ugly that it was just my tie, and I wore it almost every day, like the last 6 months. It's like, this is my tie, you know. But it's got like a bunch of gunk on it because I wore it every single day.
Yeah, I got a paisley tie that is somehow both neon and piss green. and
Jeez.
it was from my trainer. I still have it, I think.
I should have collected more down there, but I don't even remember coming across tie stores. The MILF tie, Charles Wagner.
Yeah.
Really?
He's talking about Flip's tie.
Oh,
yeah. I might still have it actually, because like I never got rid of any of my ties. That's like one of the only things I kept from my mission was all my ties. In fact, that's the thing when you talk about like wearing a tie, like how rarely you do it since your mission. I've only ever worn ties that I had on my mission. I've never bought a tie since then. They're 25 years
me
old
too.
now.
Me too.
Yeah,
I don't have any new ties. Yeah.
But I'm saying even when I went to church, I wouldn't wear a tie. Like
I wore ties for my mission when I went to church with Kevin last year. Anyway, did anybody see Jared pop up on the Friday Night Tights? Was it Friday Night Tights? What is it? What do they call it? Mormonism After Dark, where stuff gets raunchy.
Sometimes they'll say, "Damn."
Paying for super tweets super chats that don't get read.
Oh, they don't read the super chats over there. But
Dude, I thought they would have read yours for sure.
Nah. But they mention this. But the one reason, like, whenever I pay like those amounts, if you notice on their shows, it puts our name title right under the chat at the top of the chat for like an hour. Of the So, but then a bunch of people said, they said they could go watch and see the Divas video over there where we were copyright struck because they wouldn't mess around with the copyright struck because it should be noted again that Divas is a twat. Yeah. And but yeah, I mean, going through that, we paid off the stuff, and then Colch felt really bad, like he had platformed Divas or something like that. But I don't think Colch really has to apologize for him.
When I was in second grade, we lived in this we lived in Colorado briefly, and this elementary school we were at was very strict and stupid. They wouldn't let us play any like simulated violent thing at recess. So one day we're playing Pokemon. I'm in second grade. We're playing as the Pokemon. Like I'm Raichu and this guy's Geodude or whatever, and we're battling each other. And there's this fucker whose whole thing, he wasn't assigned to do this. He would just sit by the wall with his stupid fucking hands behind his stupid fucking back, and he'd just watch. And then he came up close to us. What are you guys doing? Like, we're playing Pokemon. That's violent. Goes up to the dude. He's like, duty. She's like, what? What, Michael? What? They're playing Pokemon. That's violent. Pokemon die in that. And she's like, do they die? And we're like, well, no, they get knocked out. She's like, it's violent. Don't play it.
Really?
Like, yeah, don't play it anymore. I was like, you fucking fag. Okay. And then as soon as she left, I just look over and I was like, so I'm still Raichu. You guys want to switch up or anything? And we're like, yeah. That stupid bitch. That's what I think. I think of that kid anytime I think of Dive's copyright striking you.
Well, what you gonna do? Did you guys see this? Speaking of the outrage over the black stuff, and we got more trans stuff. Some woman won a marathon, like set a record for a marathon this week, and then within like 4 hours, she was completely canceled and thrown out of her running group because it turned out she said some stuff against trans people racing in the sport, who probably would have blown away her record if they did stuff. But
wanted to talk, Marlon, a bit about, just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Absolutely.
And that's, that warms my heart, particularly as a black man. Gotcha, bitch.
I made fun of all those Big Mike people all these years. I'm sorry, you guys were right. Candace Owens is probably right about the French lady too. Everything's insane. We didn't land on the fucking moon.
That's so funny because like if that were Trump, if we're going by like the way people spaz the hell out about Trump out there, you'd have to be rolling around with saying like, she for sure just said that right there. Like that's case closed. She said it. You couldn't like be honest a little bit like, oh, she was maybe talking about Marlon Wayans right there, and was talking about Marlon Wayans right there. But no, if it was Trump, that would be repeated ad nauseum to your face as if it was exactly the thing that happened for the next 4 or 5 years. And anytime somebody said it, you'd have to stop and go, "That's not what happened." And then after a little bit, you just, "I'm not going to do it anymore. Just keep with your dumb assertions. Like, hold on to them, dude." You know. But did you see the stuff this week of one of the things that I think also was true of Trump is that he thought that MS-13 tattoo really had
MS-13.
Yeah, so it was like there were things on his knuckles that represented MS-13, and then some picture was going around where somebody had photoshopped in the M, the S, and the 1 and the 3 to show what they signified, and Trump thought those photoshopped things were part of the tattoo in the interview, and so people thought like that was the biggest deal in the world. Kind of boomer-tastic, but still just boomer-tastic. What's that?
I was trying to understand what the source of that meme was.
Well,
that makes sense now.
Oh, well, I can show you right here. So like here's Jared with his MS-13 face tattoo.
And my Post Malone face.
Yeah, so he's got MS-13, but do you see it? You don't see it? Well, I made one to show it to, like, there's the if you see like the M, the S, and the 1 and the 3. And so Trump saw this picture and he thought this picture was the full tattoo. He's like, "It's as clear as J." I can't do it, Trump. I can't do anything. There's like 2.
You do Hinckley well.
I do Hinckley, and I can do a bit of a Kermit with a banjo, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think there's something else I did back in the day, but I can do Valcor. Atreyu Valcor. That's it. That's what I got. And I just found out this week that the voice of Valcor is also the voice of Skeletor. Whoa.
The best impression I ever did, and I couldn't do it after puberty, was Marge Simpson. It was spot on. Homie. I can't do it at all right now. My throat's
Homie. We just found out this week, I sent it to you guys, that the reason her hair was long is because he was going to originally make her one of the Life in Hell bunny rabbits and have that be like a reveal later.
I never knew that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I guess I sort of kind of knew it because the reason I found that out is because there was the Simpsons, like, you know, the Ninja Turtles arcade fighting game?
Yeah.
There was the Simpsons version of that was really big at the time. And I remember you'd watch it. If Marge got shocked, underneath her thing, there was bunny ears underneath the thing.
Oh.
And that's where people started talking about it, and it came out. And I remember seeing that and going like, why does she have bunny ears when that gets shocked like that? So
Reese asks, what's worse than a Jared and Starbase call-up says?
Well, first
a Jared with a Subway deal.
That's pretty good.
There's a whole Facebook group just of Jareds, okay?
Speaking of Jared of the Subway deal, I was going to have this just be our thing this week, just because I lost my old program where I did really bad Photoshops, and now I can only do worse Photoshops. So I can only really kind of put squares on stuff until I get a better Photoshop program. So I was going to do this, but then when I looked at all of the different ones where you could put it in, like this was something Steve Miller put up on all the White House lawn of all the different people who got sent away.
Yeah, like right in front of where networks always do their broadcasting.
Yeah, they posted them everywhere. But I was going to put us on it, and every single one of them was sex with a kid. Like every single one of them, like even these ones. So I had to put the thing over it. And I'm like, I'm not putting that up there if it's just all sex with a kid of our faces.
Could you not have found one that was just like that just said Maryland father? Because I'm sure there's a lot of those.
Yeah, we got arrested for just being a Maryland father. Every single one of them was sexual assault of a minor, sexual contact with a child. And but well, they're innocent little Aladdins, which that's what Jared finally got. That's why he was arrested. And Flip didn't do nothing. And I was in the pool. But anyway, back to this. We finally had Jonathan make us the Worse Than a Rapist. That's the title of tonight's thing, which I would have just left it Worse Than a Rapist, but I didn't think I could put that on YouTube, so I did the Arrested Development ANALyst, ANALyst, therapist, put together ANALyst. The Worse Than a Rapist award. Colch and Nemo got it last week for defending not murdering late-term diagnosed Down syndrome children. Did anybody get the Worse Than a Rapist award this week?
Well, Steve also mentioned in the chat last week, like, what if we found the gay gene and you didn't want a gay kid and you aborted it just for that? So that's pretty worse than a rapist, I'd say. He's saying it's not okay for a woman to choose to abort her kid just because the kid's gay.
Yeah.
But I thought Worse Than a Rapist was somebody who stood up for not murdering the kid.
Yeah, no, that's Steve. He's saying.
So Steve is the Worse Than a Rapist for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Steve gets this week. It's the Worse Than a Rapist award for saying it would not be good if people got the ability to abort their gay kids because they found a gay gene. Worse Than a Rapist. That's one of those things that they've been talking a lot about, like the designer babies and the stuff of because forever, like one of the things they said, like with gay marriage, is like, well, there's all these kids out there who they want to have kids, and who was it? Buttigieg was on Andrew Schultz's podcast this week, and he said there's a great big line for all the white kids, but nobody wants any of the black kids if you go to an adoption place. But what's even worse than that is you've heard the stuff of like all these gay people who started doing the designer babies and different surrogates saying that they're getting pressured to abort their kids because they're not seeming exactly right, like they want them to be in the womb. And
is that really like a race thing, or is it a supply and demand thing?
That's in the future going to be rich people.
No, I mean the black versus white thing. Like there's I'm not trying to be a dick here, but there's way more out of wedlock kids born that are black. And also there's the other part of it where I imagine, I don't know this, but I imagine usually when people adopt, they just assume they're going to adopt somebody of their own race. If you're Asian, maybe you'll adopt an Asian. I think for a lot of people, it's not a big deal, but there's more white people in America than black people.
My aunt and uncle adopted Samoan kids in 1978, and it's because they were the first ones available, and they didn't give a shit what color kids they wanted. They just wanted babies. And that's things like they weren't looking for two, but twin Samoan boys came up and they said, we'll take them. And good for them.
Well, that's my sister-in-law. She's from Haiti, and she got adopted by an Idaho family. Her and a sister and two brothers, I think.
Idaho.
Don't you guys know that it's colonization? It's colonization if you do, and racism if you don't.
It's white savior.
White savior if you do, and racist if you don't. But I don't know about you guys, but if we're going to tackle racism in this country, I think we should start with, first off, everybody should watch the Watchmen series on HBO. I haven't gotten through the first episode because I barfed all over myself, but I'm gonna get through it for racism. That stuff that came out in like 2020 and all that stuff, the way they kind of reinvented the world as being so ridiculous racist. It's funny because I think about like the future, like there should be like a bunch of movies of everybody's in masks in the future. Like where's the movie? It's just a romantic comedy, but people are just tangentially in masks. Because there was 2 years that you had to do that. Like where are those movies? But what's actually coming from that time, when you put in a movie in the year 2040, you just see some ridiculous race narrative, and oh no, that's 2020. Like that's 2020, that's 2021. Like just outrageously ridiculous race stuff. No face masks, just ridiculous race narratives. But I do want to focus first, before we focus on adopting kids of color and making sure they get good houses, I want to make sure that multi-millionaire NFL draftees don't fall in the draft too far if they don't code right. We got to go one thing at a time. Baby steps. Baby steps. Did you guys see just today, Tim Waltz admitted that he was hired because he could code speak to white guys.
Wait,
what? I can code speak to white fellas who watch football and who fix trucks.
Yeah, you're a relatable guy, Tim. You can code speak to people who locked grandmas in in care facilities during COVID and made them die alone. You could code switch. You could speak to those people a lot better than dudes who fix trucks.
That should be like a pretty good tell for people who didn't like understand what people were talking about, the code stuff. Like people on the left are so stilted about their interactions with people that if you go and look at that, they assume that Tim Waltz would be the guy who would speak to us. Like they thought that that's what they were doing. That this tells you everything about like how unattached from reality they are. That guy, he's so obviously not a football player or not whatever, he claims to be. Like, it says he was like a football coach, but I mean, the dude just screams light in the loafers, you know what I mean? But
he can code speak all he wants, but we all know he wants to normalize boys having periods. That's Charles.
Yeah.
Risto asked, what would you have paid to have Tim Walz on Rogan?
Oh, I would. That would be funny to watch. I think he's doing the rounds. He's trying. The reason he like showed up on that Gavin Newsom podcast and all that stuff, and he's showing up on these other ones, is he's supposedly trying to make himself the front runner for the next election. Not gonna get there, but
I kind of think, I know it's probably an unpopular opinion, but I almost think that a Rogan Kamala Harris appearance might have helped her a little bit.
You think?
I think he would have talked to her about wine, and she apparently knows a shitload about wine, and I think she would have.
But she wouldn't be able to talk about it. She's not allowed to talk about it. She can't act like she can't. She would come off as a lush. She would be so in her head about optics and what she's allowed to say. Like that whole entire side is. She wouldn't be able to talk normal about it. I think if you were talking with her in person, not on a show, she could. But you gotta like they are so handled.
Well, they had that book that I was talking about. They read about that election. That was Biden was super on her about not separating herself from him at all. Like when he dropped out, she called him up and she's like, "Okay, I need you to endorse me." And he wanted it to wait a little bit. Like he wanted to have his time in the spotlight. So he was like, hold on, kid. I'll do it later. And she's like, no, you need this now. If you don't do it right now, it's going to look like you don't have confidence in your vice president pick, which is exactly what it looked like. And so he waited like 20 minutes or something and finally endorsed her. And then whenever she would say like, hey, they want to know what separates me from you. And he just kept, his phrase was no daylight, kiddo. Like no daylight between me and you. So he fucked her pretty bad, but I don't think she would have made it anyway. She's terrible.
It's just the stuff that, I mean, the only real reason that Trump's able to dominate over him is the guy's somehow a little free to speak his mind, and that's it,
Yeah.
Here's Matt Walsh covering it.
Governor Tim Walz claimed during a recent listening tour event that former Vice President Kamala Harris chose him as a running mate because he could code talk to white guys and provide a...
And you know that this is why they say Shadur Sanders was dropped in the thing, because he didn't code switch. They say it was racist because he talked like a black guy.
Permission structure in which they might feel comfortable voting for a black woman. This was at an event at Harvard Kennedy School, Harvard Kennedy School Forum, a listening tour. I don't know what a listening tour is, but that's what he's doing. And so here's the clip. Let's listen.
I knew I was on the ticket. I would argue because we did a lot of amazing progressive things in Minnesota that improved people's lives. But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this.
Wow.
Well, where do you...
It's so ridiculous. Like, they're so caught in their identity politics that they think that's...
How could these people possibly think that race and sex matter more to the average American voter than party? Like, my dad he's always voted conservative, super Republican, way more right than I am. Who do you think he's going to vote for in an election between, I don't know, Joe Biden and Candace Owens. Like, who do you think my dad would vote
Owens,
for?
without a doubt.
I know. There's no fucking way. And she's not going to need a white guy to convince her. It's actually okay to vote for this. What's the
I would
proper
vote
term
for
these days?
Candace Owens, but could Tim Waltz pop up and say it's okay first?
Yeah.
Tim Waltz, something about him like puts you off of that more than anybody else.
He looks like the guy that like walks up behind you and gives you a shoulder massage for like just a little bit longer than makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah, it's so weird that they think that that's the. I mean, I guess it's all true belief. Like they really have true belief about this stuff. They really think that we're all just seeing each other. I mean, not to use the old cliche, but they're like the actual real racists or something like that. It is the old cliche, but they really just do walk around think that we are just accepting or not accepting of who is our exact identity. So
that's even in that book, the writers, the people they talked to, said that the most shocked person of everyone was Tim Waltz. Like he really thought they had it in the bag.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And he's the one that called her up wanting to be her VP. I don't know what the conversation was like, but I imagine it was something like I could convince my fellow racists that it'd be okay to vote for a Negro woman.
A negress.
A negress.
So kind of like what I'm talking about here is like this stuff all seems to like tie in with Maven because it all still seems like Maven implosions too. It's like you guys are still just. If there was ever a time where you guys could start making ground on Trump, it's right now. I think that the narratives about him are a bit of a lie, but it is a time where you could be making gains big time because the stock market is a bit wishy-washy with him, that sort of stuff. Stuff is up in the air and people are concerned and worried about stuff. And you can make gains because you can frame, not even like framing it dishonestly, just people aren't crazy about the way certain deportations and stuff that there's a moment you could be making gains on it, and in the middle of it, you are imploding on yourselves, doing the same old race stuff, the same old cancellation. So these kids, do you remember those TikTok kids, the Dean dude and these other little twinks? What are their names? Did you guys know what I meant when I said twink death? I remember we talked about twink death on here before, but one of these like little twinks, they were a bunch of Kamala kids who were just on here, I'll show you one of them.
Anti-black rhetoric,
Yeah,
especially
we go.
towards black women.
Oh, this dude is
They
so
still went to
fucking
the tour
cringe.
on April 22nd at Texas A&M.
And she has yet to acknowledge it.
Absolutely trying to ruin her life,
No.
even though she did
I
not
just saw
do
a dumb
anything.
video. Dang it!
The demolition of the Unf America tour starring Dean Withers and Parker.
This tour is
As seen in
called
previous video-
Unfuck America or something. But all these little kids they were little Kamala pushers. They were little like white twink kid Kamala pushers. One of them got exposed for having like asked a bunch of young gals for nudes and all that stuff after it came out. Like it happens with the male feminists and all that sorts of stuff. But this gal who runs the thing came on stage with a thing, and they noticed that she and two of the guys were white. So they said, "Is that racist?" And she said, "No, it's not racist." So they got accused of super racism because it's more racist to say no, it's not racist than to say yes, it is racist.
How Kafka of you.
And the whole entire thing is imploding on itself, and they're going to stop this little tour because of the thing.
videos, the biggest reason why the liberal party is absolutely divided is because they say now that this person, Z, the campaign manager of the Unf America tour, was racist on a panel full of black individuals. But I showed in parts 2 and 3 the conversation between Z and these individuals, and she was not racist.
And this is the thing that's funny about it is like the different conservatives, just like us with RFM and Bill or whatever, say no, they weren't misogynist. No, that wasn't racist. But they're not allowed to say that on their own side. What they're getting called racist for
That's the
is
worst.
saying no, we're not racist.
That's the worst part about the whole thing. Like the part that pissed me off the most about this is listening to these guys just totally backstab the manager of this
The girl,
show. Yeah, and just be like, I am just disgusted with her inarguably racist comments. What do you mean inarguably? She just said, no, it's not racist that we have white guys up here. What would you prefer she said? Yeah, let's get rid of the white guys, including you.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, Dean Withers is absolutely full of it. Let's look into things. On April 19th, Peyton, a liberal creator with 700,000 followers, posted this video. Remember that date, April 19th, and remember his following, 700,000 followers. This video has like 1 million views. And the Texas A&M event was on...
Divas, how do these guys get so many views? How do these guys get so many followers and views? Like, there's got to be a key to the slop. Like,
Well,
there's
it's
got to be a
definitely-
way to slop post.
I assume their twattiness helps, so you've got that shit down.
There's a whole thing where you become like the snide moralist when you really are like just guilty of everything that you're snide moral
April
about.
22nd, which means that Dean and all other liberal creators knew about this instance. Here's Peyton's video talking about Z, the campaign manager of the UNF America Tour, in that panel with those black individuals.
She hopped on a live last night where a bunch of black women, women creators on this app, who are obviously in the political space, were a little upset, voicing their concerns, talking about how they felt about the Unfuck America Tour. And the lead organizer didn't like that very much, and so she hopped on there to spew, anti-black rhetoric, especially towards black women. Making
The anti-black rhetoric is no, we aren't racist just because we're white.
I want to wedgie this kid so bad.
sound like bullies and aggressive and it was really gross. It was really gross.
Oh, it's gross. Oh my gosh,
There's no
that's
way
gross.
you watch this and don't think she's racist, by the way.
Yes, there fucking is. I watched it.
You watched the actual clip of the thing?
Yeah, I went back and watched
His previous videos?
Yeah, on his first one he goes over it. And I maybe what they're trying to say is at one point she says like these black people, I guess it's kind of like when they say, what do you mean you people?
Yeah, it's all just like the little microaggressions. And they said it themselves that they thought it was microaggressions. It's just those little faux pas that if you do them at all, you're worse than a racist.
I went into it going like, what happened?
I mean, there's definitely a way you can watch it and think it's not racist because, well, it wasn't racist. But regardless, Dean and all the large liberal creators with the UNF America Tour were made aware of this instance. And that was 3 days in advance. And as you know, they still went to the tour on April 22nd at Texas A&M. Now, because Peyton's video has gained a ton of steam and a lot of people have seen that video, all the
if they're trying to like make some sort of counter movement to the Daily Wire or to Charlie Kirk going around to campuses, and they have to put up with like they can't do one single event without it turning into this. Like, how are they supposed to get back on the board?
I don't know. They're such fucking God. Those guys are such a pussy. It makes me think of like this woman's like making your life easy, right? She's the one that's scheduling the events. She's making you all this money. She's the one that's booking the hotels and getting you food and shit like that. That's kind of a big deal. And like, maybe she's a terrible bitch and you just saw it as an excuse to stab her in the back and be like, yeah, thank God. Obviously she wasn't racist, but I hate her. But like, I think about the people I work with, that'd be like the equivalent of my supervisor. And I like my supervisor. And if somebody came out saying like that he was racist, I'd be like, well, yeah, but only against the shitty races.
But that's just it. It's like all she did, what they're throwing her under the bus for, was them saying no, they aren't racist. So you could put this in the RFM and Bill sphere, right? Like this is RFM and Bill were called misogynists, and somebody else, just imagine anybody else came out and said, I don't think they were misogynist. Not us, because we're already on the wrong side of history. We're on the wrong side of history. But imagine Divas. Well, Divas was already outcast in his own ways. Imagine Britt came out and said, I don't think he was a misogynist. Oh, that's the end of all stuff.
liberals are asking the larger liberal.
Charles says his worry is that Trump will fuck up the economy so bad that people forget why they voted against the Democrats in 2024, and we'll just go through all the same woke cycle again. I mean,
Shapiro talking about that.
I worry that the woke cycle is never far off because it feels like it's gone, and then there's just all we can do today is just stories of that it's not. It's not at all. Like these guys doing these sort of like cancel campaigns can't work on Charlie Kirk anymore, but they're just full blast, just no chill on their own side.
The data that they've been showing, shows that there's been this first 100 days of his presidency, there's been a higher percentage of negative press coverage than last time.
Yeah, it was like 92%.
Yeah.
And but they're just going hard. Like all the implosions are still there, and all the purity checking and all that stuff is still, like, if you listen to these people talk about them, like you just get like a whole gaggle of here's the Kara and here's the Carly and here's the Sam, all
Microaggressive and racist comments.
The Black community has been impacted by
here's the
these words,
Quaku.
and if she has yet to acknowledge it or apologize.
I like a lot of the content creators on this tour, and I don't want to see them suffer because of Z's racist
Duper's delight.
action.
Do you see Z act the fool, be hella fucking racist,
By saying no, we're not racist. That's the hell of
antagonistic, condescending?
I wonder, like with TikTok, like it has in the background the AC/DC music there, if that won't be like something that dings us. But it's trying to get to the spot where the kid
Don't want to hear anything from
Where he what?
where he throws her back in the bus.
creators, anybody from MAGA.
Come on, why doesn't it jump?
But are you specifically
Well, this is one of the little twinks, if you remember him.
Oh yeah, this guy.
asking why I didn't tell anybody else, like speak about it on live?
Yes.
I think like the reason why I didn't speak about it on live at the time was because I was scared. And
all these like different little kids were bought and paid for to start doing all this stuff under USAID money. You know, like people like they exposed that and showed that it really was. You have those people like saying like John DeLynn had USAID money or something like that. People, no, these guys really were like part of USAID funding to do all this sorts of stuff. But
Imagine this like your kid. You see him doing this. It's the whole backstabbing shit. I can't get over it. I just come into his room like, look, kid, I know you got this whole fag thing going on, and that's fine. You can be a fag, but don't you dare be a cowardly fag, or I'm gonna kick your ass.
what's funny about that is this kid, they really did uncover stuff with him in the past where he did Call of Duty stuff and used N-words on the Call of Duty and all that. Oh, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? But it's just so wild how it's just not gone. It's not very far away, you know. Trump put out an executive order about what was it, like the removing the DEI stuff just this last week, like something that did a little bit extra or more with it, and it's still just an executive order. Like I forget exactly what the most recent was. I'll look it up.
Well, we've already got the mayor of Boise's hill to die on right now is keeping a pride flag flying out in front of City Hall.
Really?
Yeah, like that. Finally, like.
Why is every city run by Democrats?
Well, Boise's Boise's Portland Junior.
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh yeah, seriously.
It's the university town.
It's like got a fun nightlife, but that is full of hipster pukes.
Hipster. That's a new thing that exists.
Hipster, yeah.
Hipster.
Yeah, it was something like the UTSA January 20th. Oh, not that one. There was one more recent. But yeah, it's still just one of the things about it too is it doesn't remove like people still being able to privately sue over that sort of stuff. But what's so funny about that is people are all up in their heads about like what's legal or not legal right now, calling Trump a fascist and all that stuff. DEI was never legal. Like it was always like these executive orders are just reinforcing what was always the law under the Civil Rights Act.
It's not just morally and intellectually wrong to be racist. It is actually against the law.
And has been. It has been all along. And it's ridiculous that you have
70 years
orders. Like people are freaking out that Trump's coming up with novel ways to deport people and stuff like that, which there's all sorts of stuff. We can get into that if we're going to get into that. But
well, also, like, what do you mean? Like, that's the other thing is like the whole idea that he has to even come up with novel ways where it's like, okay, it has always been the law that if you're an illegal immigrant, if you're here illegally, you are subject to deportation. Like that's never not been the case.
If you return back to the Obama era where 5 times as many people were deported, the due process that was given the people that were deported was an ICE agent reviewed if they had cards or not and then deported them. You not like have like endless hearings in the United States for them. And that's one of the things with Robert Barnes. I was talking to Forrest about.
I commented to somebody on NPR because they're talking about like whatever happened to due process. I'm like, you ask them, Can you prove that you're legally? And they say no, and that's the process. That's literally the due process. That's
Yeah,
it right there.
They talked about it. They talked about it in Tim Pool like last night a little bit, and they were correct. Robert Barnes in his last 2 shows talked about it. The concept that due process has been smuggled to mean no matter what hearings and appeals for any sort of person. Like one of the reasons they're using that alien or the Invasion Act and that sort of thing is like if Red Dawn happened and all of a sudden a bunch of Chinese people paratrooped in and we caught them all. Do we have to give every single one of them a habeas corpus and like a full thing? No, like there's different due processes for different situations. Due process is used in the hiring process. Due process is used in the termination process. Due process is used all over the place. Those concepts are due process. And
sorry, I cut you off.
No, go ahead.
On this subject, this whole week, I've been at work. I've been listening on YouTube to almost nothing but sovereign citizens in court.
Oh, good.
And that's the thing, because they're the same kind of things where it's like, hey, judge, you don't have jurisdiction, and they're like, yes, we do, and like there's these people who believe that like because of like maritime law from 300 years ago, they don't have to have a driver's license.
They're like, I'm free to travel. That's the word they love to use.
Yeah, like
I'm free to travel. They're like, yeah, but
I'm a free man on the land traveling, and yeah, they're like, I wasn't driving, I was traveling. Like, well, yeah, you were traveling in your car that you were operating. You're behind the wheel, but like, no, it's the same kind of thing, except instead of being, mostly ignorant morons. And that's the thing that's interesting about sovereign citizens, because like I know on the left they just assume that they're all Republicans, but they're not. Like the sovereign citizen movement is kind of like the old anti-vaxxer movement, where like no, it straddled all politics. Like everybody had a nice chunk of people in it that believe this stuff, and that's the case with sovereign citizens.
Robert Barnes talked about these last 2 Viva things, but due process.
Due process does not mean the same thing for everybody. Due process the process that you are due under the Constitution varies depending on what property or liberty interest you have that can be legally recognized. So people think, well, don't you always have a property interest in being where you're at? Not if you're there illegally. Don't you have a liberty interest in being where you're at? Not if you're there illegally. So when you are there illegally, you have no constitutionally recognizable property or liberty interest that requires any process at all beyond what Congress gives you and the president affords you. And what the courts have ruled for a century, until just this past 2 weeks, was that the president had carte blanche, and there was, quote, no role for judicial intervention, even in habeas petitions in such cases, beyond just rubber stamping whether the executive gave you any due process. They said there was authorized due process.
And that might come to a further Supreme Court ruling, but that recent one didn't rule on this. They ruled on that single guy, like upholding that judge's order on that single guy, but they have not ruled on if they have to. They might rule on it, but they usually kick the can down the road on this stuff. That's another thing Robert Van talked about, because they know that they're overstepping their executive bounds. Like that, no, they aren't the boss of the executive, and the executive isn't the boss of them. The executive acts within the law, and these laws are on the books. If he's declaring an invasion, you can say maybe it's not an invasion, but I think 20 million people coming in without going through the due process of demonstrating that they're actually asylees. And one of the things that Robert Barnes talks about as well is that if we were going to follow the letter of the law all the way down, any sort of lawyer coaching these people into making fake asylee claims are doing criminal acts, but it's all just so ridiculous. Like obviously laws were broken to let in all these different people. I saw just Victor Davis Hanson just talking about this just recently, but now they demand like all the letter of the law to,
yeah. What's like the thing with the judge?
Yeah.
Something on NPR, and everybody's saying like, I mean, there's all these people saying like they didn't even have a warrant for arrest. Like, yes, they did, and they like, and the other things like they're saying that they didn't show it to the judge. They don't have to show it to the judge. They don't have to show it to anybody. They just get to arrest the guy they have a warrant for. You know?
Yeah.
By the way, I asked my Salvadoran coworker what he thought of the Maryland father. He's like, "No, he's glad he's gone. He was, you know."
Yeah, I mean, the more and more stuff. Walsh covered that again today. That guy has been arrested multiple times for beating his wife, not just once or twice. It's like 3 times.
He was arrested with MS-13 gangsters.
Yeah, and there was a court petition sent in by his wife's ex-husband because it's his kids that are there, and that guy said, "This is an MS-13 gang member who's hanging around my kids. I want somebody to review this and look at this." And but due process. You know? And he had due process multiple times. He did have all the different hearings, and
he had an existing deportation order. The whole thing was that he made like an extra special petition saying, you can't send me back to El Salvador. And it was a bogus claim because he's like, I'm afraid of a gang that hasn't existed for many years. But that was after he already had deportation orders issued against him, you know?
Yeah. Not to use Tim Pool as a source, but he was right about this here.
Yeah, that is always sad to use Tim Pool as a source.
Due process defined is the fair treatment under the law. Illegal immigrants get fair treatment under the law.
Yep.
An ICE agent will stop them and say, I have reason to believe you're not a citizen. Can you show me some ID? If they can't, they say, okay, come with me. We're going to come and check out who you are. Turns out he's not a citizen. Expedited removal. You don't even go to a judge.
Well, here's the thing. If you got ordered expedited removal, I don't even got to do all that. I just take them. Like, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like yeah. But the ICRO guys that were there, like, look, I get it. They were trying to be polite and professional, but honestly, they didn't even have to let him go to court.
One more.
And conservatives into believing that here, the media, I believe, has successfully gaslit the Trump supporter base and conservatives into believing that due process means.
Oh yeah, due process might mean no jury, it's whatever.
So I mean, he's right, like about that concept. They say the word due process, it means that, and that is a gaslighting. That's not ruled on. That's not ruled on by the Supreme Court or anywhere at all in those sorts of situations. But if you have a big problem with it, it happened 5 million times under Obama, and Trump's on pace to do it 1 million. So where were you? Where were you?
I think they're right. I think the due process should be all of the 20 million illegal immigrants that are here right now should get a court date set for a few months in time, spaced out, obviously, because we can't do them all at once. And they should plead their case in front of a jury of their peers.
Yeah, I heard somebody, I mean, I have no idea if it's accurate or not. I don't even remember who said it. It might have been Victor Davis Hanson or somebody, but they were talking about, like, if they actually put everybody that's currently in the country illegally through a court process, it would take like 300 years to process.
It would
them
take.
all.
So I actually had GPT do it, and Forrest is saying, did Chris just make the argument they broke the law to get here? You break the law to get them out. No, you use due process. The matching due process that is used to get them out. And you want to know what? There's people at my work who had their court and their hearings from the embassies in the country where they're fucking from. That's where they do it. That's due process too. Send them there. They can go to the embassy where they're from and do what it is. And one of the things that's a lie about all this stuff is asylum and asylum seeking was always only for situations where government was who was persecuting you. Like this claim always that like MS-13 is coming for me. That was never a valid asylum claim. Not just to mention that MS-13 has been completely put away over in El Salvador and all that stuff. They haven't gotten their due process. But it's always been a false asylum claim to claim that. It's supposed to be your government, the government that is coming after you. And then generally with that stuff, under what were those I forget those laws, but you're supposed to go to the nearest possible country to do that.
Yeah,
like
the nearest friendly country.
But stupid fucking MAGA, stupid MAGA doesn't get it. No, you guys just aren't really following all the arguments. And some of these arguments are going to be argued down the line still because they're valid tests that the Trump administration is putting to the Supreme Court.
Was it a while ago I saw a thing like in Finland, they did a poll that showed that something like 70% of Finnish asylum seekers had vacationed to the country they fled from.
Yeah.
It's
like, it's dangerous for me to live there. It's
Go
fun for me to go to the beach, though.
Go back in
I
time to
remember
the Obama administration and act just as upset. Like that's
Yeah.
if we could have the Obama administration right now, they'd be pretty happy with it.
I remember, like, right after the Syrian civil war ended, this German dude was going around interviewing the Syrian refugees, and he's just like, "Oh, so you pretty excited the civil war is over now?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he's like, "So, I guess you're probably going back now, right? Since you don't have anything to seek asylum from." And nah.
Well, that's one of the things that was brought up in this MS-13 case. That guy, the Kilmar dude, he was also coached to make the asylum thing. There's proof. There's some people who demonstrated that the thing that he announced as the asylum thing, he didn't bring up in multiple occasions until after he got a lawyer and was likely coached into how to make an asylum claim. And that asylum claim wasn't valid because it's not valid to say I'm afraid of MS-13 as an asylum claim. But I pulled up on ChatGPT and did the numbers with ChatGPT that if we had no new people entering the country, they are able to have a first hearing with something like about 850,000 people. I mean, a year, and at the rate and what ChatGPT guessed, and I think it's higher than this. There's 18 million people in line to have this legally. It'd be 21 years. It'd be 21 years if no new claims were made in that entire time. We got like 700 judges to view this sorts of stuff. It's a joke. It's ridiculous. And was it an invasion? Well, that's got to be. I don't think Trump is being a bull in a china shop, declaring it that way. And if it gets overturned by the Supreme Court, it gets overturned by the Supreme Court. I think if the Supreme Court does it, I mean, I think they'd ultimately follow it, especially if it's close to the midterms. But I don't know. My only point with all of this is that the angles that the GOP are taking on this are not stupid. They're not just big dumb stupid dumbs. You know, they have legal angles that they're coming at with this the whole time.
I keep having to explain that to people. Like, I had this discussion. I don't think I brought it up last time. My brother-in-law and my sister-in-law were complaining something about, like, my brother-in-law made some joke about transgenic mice or whatever, and Morgan's like, "What's that?" And they're like, Trump thought that transgenic mice were transgender mice, and we're in the middle of a family gathering, and I'm just like, don't do it. It's like they were transgender. The mice were transgender, and they're like, nuh-uh. It's like, no, you're transgender. Like, people just thought the stupidest possible thing came from the Trump administration. Like, they thought the Trump administration was so stupid that they would look at the word transgenic and mistake it for the word transgender. Transgenic mice are used in a lot of studies, but these studies were to change, like, they were given cross-sex hormones to mice to see certain effects on the body. The transgender mice is an apt description of that. And they're like, no. And it's like, no, you just think that his administration is comically stupid. You think he is dumber than I think Kamala Harris is. I promise you that.
Yeah. Here's the ChatGPT that I did. It says 22 years. That's it. I mean, it's ridiculous to think. I mean, and that's part of the thing that we always talked about, that Cloward Piven, the Cloward Piven strategy. I don't know if it's like the exact same thing, where the Biden administration knew 100% that they could just go break the system, and that's how they would do their activism. Their activism was to make it breakable. This, you know, so how do you fight against it? Well, they're looking for every legal possible way that they can possibly do it, and they'll probably get shut down with it anyway. You just have to deal with what's put in there. And if they turn it back over to the Democrats in 4 years and they just open the floodgates again and another 40 million come in, like, what do you do? This is a Cloward Piven strategy, the political strategy outlined 1966 with American sociologist, political Cloward and Francis Piven. The strategy aims to use militant anti-poverty groups to facilitate political crisis by overloading the welfare system via an increase in welfare claims, worsening the creation. But the strategy is brought over to other stuff. Is the way that we do the activism is by overwhelming the system so it can't be dealt with. So how do you combat that? Is if you can't combat that, it's a weakness of hate to say it with like all the stuff going around, it's a weakness of the Constitution. Like the Constitution will be destroyed by itself. And you hate to have those dissident right people be correct about that. There's got to be some sort of avenue to fight something like that at the same pace and speed, or it will break the Constitution. You say, Constitution, this will break the Constitution one way or the other, unless there's some way that they can find to fight it, you know. But anyway, there's that stuff.
Goddamn.
But the first 100 days of Trump. So when it comes to like the tariff stuff, like the tariff stuff is a mess, but that's like what Scott Adams says, I would agree with, is although Trump should have had this in his 4D calculations, right? Is that it's for sure the media spazzing people out about what to do or not with their stocks. Like for how much has happened or not happened, it's media spazzing that's really kind of making it kind of go chaotic one or the other.
Wish I had money to buy stocks because
it will go back up
more right now. Because when it goes down real fast because of tariffs, it'll come up, whether slowly or quickly, it'll come back.
Yeah, and Victor Davis Hanson's talked about just in some of the stuff today about some of the things that are on the horizon that you got to get through to see if it'll go back up because the manufacturing will change hands, or they're going to do stuff like Apple and those places are switching over to India over China. Plus, they might make certain deals, and it's all in the middle of the process of a deal. But I mean, I don't think anybody who's honest can't look and see that Trump was not wrong in that. There's some lopsided stuff here about what's going on with the tariffs, and it does change which directions manufacturing go, and it changed our country in like a big way. But I feel like everybody commenting from the peanut gallery, it's kind of like I said before, it's like commenting on a poker player, and you're like, no, don't bluff unless you have 4 of a kind. Don't bluff unless you have 4 of a kind. And then, oh, he backed off of that one. Oh, you didn't win the bluff? You're stupid. Like you're not, you don't know how to play poker. Like you don't know what he's doing. I think the way the stuff all plays out is that Trump is obviously trying to get them to drop their tariffs. All his talk about is he thinks they're going to bring in money and all that sorts of stuff. It sure looks like it, but he's got to make them look like that he believes that or not. The idea is to get everybody to drop their tariffs.
If you're using it as a, like, I'm not a poker player, but I have to admit, tell me if this is a good strategy or not. I've got a shit hand, and I tell you, I got a shit hand, but I'm going to keep putting stuff in here until you stop. I know this is a bad idea.
That's bad poker.
Oh, shit.
But if I was a media commentator, I'd be like, that's honest. That's honest poker. You're doing good poker there, buddy. That's a proper way to do it. You don't want to, like, what would the other poker players think of you if you weren't honest with them about that?
I was once playing, it was just a home game, but we were playing poker with a dumb guy. Poor guy was dumb. And he had like 3-2 offsuit, and he was obviously losing the hand, and he kept calling raises. And we're like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, don't worry about it. And like, he kept calling raises. And of course, at the showdown, he lost. We're like, dude, what were you doing? You had 3-2. And he goes, I was bluffing. And we're like, you can't bluff by calling. That's not one of the ways you bluff. Like, you can't, that's not what that is.
A call bluff. Well, what would our European partners think of me if I didn't just call with my bluff? Yeah, but don't you dare bluff unless you have, like, the best poker in the world is do not bluff unless you have a royal flush. That's when you bluff. But if they call you, you better fold that royal flush because they probably have something better. So fold it. You know, this is the way you play poker. This is the media's evaluation of what's going on over there. But all that said, that world is. Yeah, it was going to be chaotic. It was always going to be chaotic. And I think just like I know when I play poker, whenever I bluff, it could fail. You know, it might not work. I might get caught in the bluff. Sometimes that's part of my strategy. In fact, the way that I'm able to bluff well in poker is I tell myself whenever I'm bluffing, good, call me, make me look like an idiot, make me look stupid. and then I'll turn that into something better. You know, because it's always like what you're doing. You're going to where the puck is going, not where the puck is. Like that's how you do stuff when you just like when you are on that stock market. Like Flip said, when it's down is when you buy, and when it's up is when you sell. But you know, the media screams everybody into doing the opposite of that.
And that's something I've learned. I keep learning the lesson with playing poker is that like if you're playing even against moderately decent poker players, if you're playing tight, you're not going to get anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And like the best day of poker I ever had was when I followed your advice and I just picked a hand to bluff and I bluffed and then I made sure that I showed it. I actually won it. Actually, you know, it wasn't a huge pot, but I won the pot with a bluff and I was absolutely certain to show my cards to, like you say, so that I look stupid. And then for the rest of that game, everybody had to wonder, is he bluffing again? You know, if you just play tight aggressive, then you never get anywhere because, you know, they just know, like, if you make a raise, all right, I'll get out. He's got something.
If they buy my bluff and I get the money, sometimes I'll just go with it because you won the hand. But like Flip just said, sometimes I'll show it, which is kind of bad form in poker. But sometimes what my idea to do is to make them think I'm a fucking wild card. And the truth of it is I'm generally not. Like I'm playing pretty tight and pretty hard and pretty fiscally conservative all the way through. But here and there I do a wild thing. And when I do a wild thing, I hope to get caught in the wild thing. But if I never do the wild thing, nobody ever plays with me. And that's how poker works, you know, and you got to dare to do it if you ever get on a table or you're dead money. And this is something that Trump knows. People talk about 40 chess checkers. No, he just has like a poker gut. Like, I'm going to bluff you. I'm going to push on you. I'll back off. Oh, you called me. I'll back off. Oh, I'll go hard. Oh, and it's an eternal game. It's back and forth, up, down, up, down, down. Now, to give some credence to the people against that sort of side, I remember the first thing my dad ever told me about politics was you can't treat it like a corporation. You know, it's just a different monster. It's just a different thing. You have to live with your losses like you live with your wins. You can't just sell off your losses and that sort of stuff. And something that Trump and Elon might be running into or seeing is that it is just a different monster. Like you're trying to use the stuff that you could do as a monarch or a CEO, as Curtis Yarvin would always point at, are not something you can do as a president because you don't have your own people on your side to help you with your bluffing. You've got a team of your own people standing next to you when you make a bluff going, this dipshit's bluffing. You know, you can't play poker very well that way. If I went to play poker, but I had Flip and Jared standing next to me screaming at everybody on the table, what wrong dipshitted thing I was doing every single move that I did. But that's the world you have to deal with. You're not playing the real 4D chess if you're not being honest that you are going to have that media up your ass the whole time whenever you do it. So is it going to work or not? I don't know. I don't think it will. You know.
Yeah.
Like all that said, all the defense of it, I think it is a tough thing to do on that huge political stage. I think it's a bit out there.
Do you want to hear one of the more egregious things that Trump did that not a lot of people are talking about, but NPR called to my attention? He's not thinking of the Zambian truckers and prostitutes.
Yeah. Where was that one? Like,
that was NPR.
It's just an endless barrage of this. Yeah, you had it shared somewhere to find it. Just an endless barrage of these things, man. Where is it? Does it have like a trucker picture with it?
Yeah.
Not really. It just has.
They used to pay millions and millions of dollars to have a guy hand out HIV drugs.
Yeah, Zambian truck stops. Zambian, I don't know. It's an African country, and I saw the NPR thing about the effect Trump is having on sex workers and truckers in Zambia.
Was it the whole article? Did you send the whole article?
I sent a screenshot. I might have also sent the article because I actually clicked on the article. It's like, let's see how they spin this. And like, oh, we used to be spending a shitload of money on HIV medications to give to an African guy to hand them out to African truckers and prostitutes to help with their
probably
HIV.
a CIA informant.
Yeah, it was also probably marking
Soft money,
price
soft
there,
power
sir.
money, like Mike Benz always talks about.
And like, what about all these people making stupid decisions that are now going to have to face the consequences of those stupid decisions? Like, what are we going to do now? I don't know. Let them sort it out, man. It's not us. Just
I remember
fuck.
telling one of my lefty friends 15 years ago. I remember just kind of saying, like, it's weird to me that HIV is still spreading. Like, it's the most easily preventable disease. Like, it's just not hard to not get HIV. Like, don't have unprotected sex with strangers. That's all of it. That's all of it right there. Don't have unprotected sex with strangers, and there's no more HIV. And yet, it's still.
I'm not gonna wrap my toe when I'm bumming a strange dude that I don't know. That's gay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But then so much of that stuff, like the AIDS stuff, was all soft power coup working in other countries, like as Mike Benz has pointed out a million times. I forgot a little portion of the Divas thing that I just came across when I was finding this. There's the Zimbabwe story of the Trump's tariffs. Is it the tariffs?
No, that's the Musk cutting out all the money.
The Doge is causing the HIV. Bill Real came out and apologized for using AI voice on the start of the Mormon newscast and stuff like that, because it was just as bad as Divas faking an email. And
it's bad to mimic a person without their permission. Like, how are you gonna get someone's permission? Be like, hey, can I fucking make fun of you using an impersonation of you? Sure. Thank you for asking me. I consent to that. Flip had the best comment on that.
Yeah, I thought I had it right on the screen here, but it's just it was the title of our thing. But Flip commented on it. This comment is off the reservation.
Yeah. Apologizing for this is off the reservation.
Apologizing for off the reservation, and I thought I had your comment right here, but I had this saved. But referencing when Bill paid some money to some sort of thing because he didn't said off the reservation, and that's a microaggression. And
he made it. He publicly announced that he made a donation to the Indian Fund or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you see the article I sent you guys this week? A couple of motorcyclists out in the desert unknowingly strayed onto an Indian reservation.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
They got kidnapped and tortured by some guy who apparently is a native. I don't know, but they were lucky to get away, it seems.
Yeah, that I didn't realize there was reservations like so close to the Dugway.
Well, that's and I looked it up. It's the Skull Valley Reservation, and apparently it's a population of like 60. There's there's almost nobody.
How big is the space though?
Biggish. I mean, it's Utah. It's Skull Valley Indian Reservation. Does it say how big it is? The reservation comprises 28 and a fraction of square miles in land east of Tooele County. So it's not mega ginormous, but the tribe had 134 registered members and 15 to 20 people living on the reservation. That's kind of amazing to me. Like that, I don't know. Like I just assumed that all the tribes had, at least a few hundred or a few thousand members, but 134 members.
Wow. This clip has been going around on Twitter, and it's about this guy warning about, probably back in the 90s with Charlie Rose, warning about how the tariff differentiation and the exporting of all the different stuff in our country was going to do exactly what it did, which is just kind of weird. Somebody was like, well, the thing is, like anything now, you look at it in hindsight, and it's just kind of like, why wouldn't you have thought that had happened? You want to know what, to me, the weirdest thing of all that is? Like, if we went to war with China right now, like right this second, how they manufacture all the pharmaceuticals?
Yeah.
Like, how? Like how do you don't manufacture any of your own pharmaceuticals, and you want to? I mean, I don't think they're going to be some sort of war with China, but you couldn't just exactly because of that.
Despite all the warnings to be good for the United States and good for Mexico, though, that when you say these people, for example, People's Republic of China and India, 4 million people, 4 billion, I'm sorry, the argument is also made that they, all of a sudden, not only is it a question of the price of their labor, but it is a huge buying power that they have, that China, in the new millennium, will be the world's fastest growing economy. And there'll be a market. That's wonderful. And those people will be buying products from the industrialized world.
And let's benefit from that. And we can work together. But how do you benefit from that without destroying ourselves? You go and you create a corporation in China, and you build a factory in China. And when you want to sell mugs in China. And you conquer part of the Chinese market by competing there fair and square in China. That's life. That's adding to the activity of China. You're a corporate citizen over there. You're working over there. But if you move a factory from the States and take that to China, not so as to conquer the Chinese market, but so as to re-import the goods into the States, so as to get cheap labor, what are you doing? What you're doing is you are saying to your employees here, you're too expensive, folks. You want money, you want protection, you want unions, you want holidays. Forget it. We can employ 47 people over there who want nothing. So the so-called recovery, which is a recovery of economic indices, hasn't got the feel-good factor because people's salaries have done that. It's going to go down much more. It's only beginning. And the reason is very straightforward. When you manufacture something, anything, this table,
right,
you have a value added. The value added is when you take the raw materials and you manufacture a product. The value you add is known as value added. And that is shared between capital and labor. And the whole division, the sharing of that, is being the subject of massive debates for generations. How much should go to capital? How much should go to labor? You've had strikes, you've had lockouts, you've had political debates. All of a sudden, by creating a global marketplace for labor, but by creating circumstances where people are making the same product with the same technology and the same capital, and the only variant is cost of labor, you are shattering the way you share the value added. And that means that you are destroying the basis on which we've been able to create an equilibrium and have a stable society.
Okay, but let me just take this argument. This is the same.
Oh, yeah, it goes on and on. It's a pretty good clip. Well, I'll share it in the.
Yeah.
But that's just the only point where I get like the tariffs. Like, it doesn't make sense when you're talking about labor. It makes sense when you're talking about product that you don't care about tariff. But it doesn't make sense when you're talking about labor because that obviously sends labor to other countries, and and you can do it at slave labor costs, and that doesn't. I mean, you're not supposed to worry about that if you're a libertarian or something like that. This is one of the areas like where, because I've seen Dave Smith kind of criticize all this stuff and just say it's just well known that tariffs, you don't worry about tariffs, and I don't think it makes sense in the labor world. I really don't. I think it does with products. I think it does with goods, but I don't think it does with labor. What's this, Jared? Capitalism.
Oh, wait. No, go back 2 images. Let me explain this.
Which one?
Go 2 back.
That one?
No, one more. Right there. So this happened. This was today. Morgan texted me on my way home. She's like, "Hey, can we hang out a little bit before your video?" And I was like, "Sorry, babe. I got a protest to go to. We got to stand with the working class." And obviously I clicked on this and I found the host. So go to the next picture. This is the host. I don't know if you're surprised to find out that she has a septum piercing, a Donald Trump sucks t-shirt, and purple hair. And then I clicked on her Facebook page and found this public post. So go to the next one. Look at this. Spurg out over this for a minute. Capitalism death toll 2023. Message me if you want sources. 5 million plus people killed just last year due to capitalism. Now look at the categories. Homelessness, suicide, no health care, police killings, drug overdoses. That's capitalism. Workplace deaths. I don't like.
These are tanky arguments since forever ago.
I know they're terrible. I just haven't seen anybody use them for a long time.
Like if you argue with a tanky about the gulags and the Gulag Archipelago and all that sorts of stuff, they'll use the argument of well, the census said that their population went up, and they denied, but then capitalism's killed way more over time.
Oh yeah, well, climate related 5 million plus.
That's just added. I didn't realize that was the major bulk of it.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. Climate related, like people dying. If it weren't for capitalism, I don't know if you guys remember this, but before capitalism existed, there were no hurricanes or monsoons or anything like that.
Yeah, nobody died because of a natural disaster.
We would if we had a Marxist utopia, we could clearly control the fucking weather.
this is like that thing of the Bible of like you'll always have them with you or something like that. If you grow, no matter what, like if you grow to 9 billion because capitalism afforded you to be able to do that, then there will be a large percentage of deaths at the fringes of that.
Sure, but also I don't know how you can pin climate-related deaths and what else? Homelessness?
Yeah.
Suicide? You think suicide wouldn't exist? Like, because you're comparing it to your utopia. That
Yeah,
simply
and that's what
can't
I'm saying is
exist.
like, if you went and cured every single one of those persons like homeless, like made the society so that many more people could get a house and that many more people could get food and that more, they would make enough more people that then there would again be that many on fringes. That's just
Well,
how
if
that
I
works.
asked her what would be the socialist cure to homelessness, what do you think she'd say?
The cure is it's just happens if you
It's to give them all houses, which has been tried under
Yeah, I bet it
capitalism.
would be one to give them all houses because we have plenty of houses right now. There's more houses than people. How come we just don't give them to the people? Well, they take them anyway, and then they destroy them, and they destroy the neighborhoods, and nobody wants to live there, and so they move away. And then the other one would be we would have more social workers.
Oh yeah.
I could somewhat agree with them on the suicide one because people have long since noted it's the basis of where all of sociology started it from with Durkheim. Durkheim got interested in the concept that suicide went up with affluence.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say
That's where suicide comes from, is navel gazing with affluence.
Suicide is a first world problem. Capitalism brings the first world.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that one, yeah, you got us there. Like the suicides will go up with affluence. That's trouble, man. Police killings 1,232. That's all they got.
Yeah, in my socialist utopia, we wouldn't have cops, so cops wouldn't kill anyone.
How many?
Checkmate.
Say 1,000 something of police killings. So they really are just counting all of them.
Yeah, I think she's counting like the entire world.
All the deaths, yeah.
All of them.
She said 5 million climate related. In
That's what I'm saying is
2023.
the take
Like maybe at best 4 or 5 of those are unjustifiable or maybe unjustifiable. The rest of them are totally justifiable.
But this is the tanky argument. Like you tell the tanky like 30 million died in the gulag, and the tanky will look at just national statistics of how many died last year and say that's how many capitalism killed.
Yeah,
and that's it. Like that's the tanky argument.
When I'm counting communist deaths, I'm not counting people who died of cancer.
Yeah, we're saying the gulag killed them. That's what we're saying. The gulag itself killed them, and either from starvation or directly killed them.
Imagine if I wanted to do the death toll of Nazism, and I decided to include American Jews who died of cancer.
I just said it was on the Facebook. It was our buddy Seth, but I'll just share it here anyway because I showed it to you guys. Seth was comparing the if you harbor the fugitive judge, it's like Anne Frank or something like Jews fuse. That's why I made a very bad Photoshop version of Eduardo Flores, The Diary of a Young Vato. Just need to be black and white, but I don't have a program that does that well right now. This is an uncensored this week. Transphobes, when you check their porn history, and Jared pulled this up.
That's one of my favorite memes of all time.
Arachnophobic, you must secretly want to.
It's wild how often I'll get in a discussion with a trans rights activist, and they will accuse me of being gay, like as an insult.
Yeah.
And my answer is usually, yeah, I'm gay. I like to fuck dudes. Now let's talk about what I said. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, all right, fine. Yeah. Okay. Answer my question now that you know I'm into dick.
Do you want to watch the Britney TikToks?
Oh, God.
Lord have mercy.
What, do you not like them? Are you not entertained?
I am entertained and cringed.
Or the trigonometry lady.
Jesus, she was nuts.
This is a great example for how we're wired to see through the illusions and superstitions of other systems, but we can't for our own. I find it deeply fascinating that our feminist hero from Handmaid's Tale is a Scientologist in her personal life.
Just the irony right there.
Life as the
Your feminist hero. Yeah,
that's
let's
the
talk
whole,
about
that's the
how
whole
your
thing. We don't
Twilight
have to go
Zone-
through the whole video, but you can imagine she tries to explain it.
Well, and how many people would have a difficult time seeing through? Like, how many modern Americans would have a difficult time looking at Gilead from The Handmaid's Tale, where the fertile women are used as like cum receptacles to spit out babies, and say, yeah, that's just. Like, find me a staunch conservative who'll be like, yeah, we should do that. Like, they all know that's dystopian. They all know that's fucked.
Yeah.
Most people know that Scientology's fucked. You're right, but like more people would know that Gilead is fucked.
I mean, I think I commented on this. She doesn't see it, but like somewhere in this, she says you need to take a year off from your ideology to see if it like holds up. And I said, take a year off from feminism. Like, take a year off and see if it holds up.
She talks about it like she's like, I would never talk somebody out of Mormonism. I would say, let's get you ready. Like, I don't know, it was something along the lines of like, let's get you ready to cope with the world without Mormonism. So that I don't know, it felt like a seedy way of just being like, yeah, I'm going to talk about Mormonism, obviously.
I think one of the things that's always overlooked with that too is this gal would not have the job if it weren't for Scientology. So that self-fulfilling prophecy was always going to happen because the Scientology people have some sort of hold on I don't get what that is. Like, how do you think they get in? Do you think they have like blackmail stuff on people in Hollywood or something? Like, how does Scientology have Hollywood pull? Is it just Tom Cruise?
It's probably a lot of it.
Do you know, Flip, like how Scientology has Hollywood pull?
Not exactly. I think they're very connected. I don't know, like, and that was by design. You know, L. Ron Hubbard made a whole point about like recruit Hollywood people, recruit celebrities, and yeah, like I think it's really just all that is. They know a lot of people. They got a lot of good lawyers. They know a lot of good agents. I don't know.
So here's the chat GPT on it. Targeting recruitment of celebrities, celebrity centers, high-profile members, networking and career support. But so this position had a high likelihood of someone from Scientology getting the position because, you know, it's the Scientology that got her there, not the irony of the situation. But at the same time, too, it's another screwball ideology. It's your screwball ideology that she's there placating. I don't know, what is that, like gassing up? She's gassing up, like, because I mean, The Handmaid's Tale is so full of shit, man. It's so ridiculous. It's like bad. Is it supposed to be satire? Like, it's bad. It's like a bad version of. Like, it's such a ridiculous world. It's not even close. And people saying it's totally Handmaid's Tale right now. And you're like, are you serious? Like, come on. It's shit. Do you guys, have you ever done any sort of reading of like what the whole Handmaid's Tale story is, or any sort of stuff like that?
I don't know the origin. I just know that
I've read just like a breakdown and just like, oh, come on.
Well, before I knew anything about how cringe it was, everybody was telling me to watch it, and I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. I like dystopian shit. I'll watch it. And I never got around to it until after a bunch of fucking mavens started putting their profile pictures as the Handmaid's Tale lady.
If I've said this once, I've said it.
Yeah, it's such an exaggeration of stuff, but
If I've said this once, I've said it 1,000 times. The atonement helps perpetrators, not victims. The response to an
assuming that guy is a perpetrator and those other people are victims, because 20 years ago they say that he was sexually aggressive with them. I mean,
well, the atonement is specifically for sins that we perpetrate. So I don't know what you're talking about.
So it's for the sinner to get away with it, I guess, or in their own mind.
I know what she's saying, but like, I feel like if a Christian watched that, they'd be like, well, yeah, like the atonement has nothing to say about a victim. The whole point of it is that you can be forgiven of the bad things you do. Being a victim isn't a bad thing. it's I mean, it's bad for you. You didn't do a bad thing. You're just a victim of a bad thing that happened. You don't have to be forgiven of that bad thing that happened to you. The guy that perpetrated it has to be forgiven. Which, by the way, victims also do bad things. Everybody does bad things in their life. So the whole idea of the atonement, it helps out the victim too in cases where they're an asshole.
So I was listening to Candace Owens this week. She was on with Tim Dillon. I can't listen to Candace Owens on her own, although every once in a while she'll have something, but she's so bonky. But with Tim Dillon, it's fun to listen to her. And she went into detail on the Harvey Weinstein stuff, which is stuff that we've talked about. But she's gone into extra detail that like all the main people who claimed that he raped her, he raped them. It was long-term relationships, like every single one of them. Not one of them was like a one-night stand. They were all long-term affairs. Every single one that claimed it. It's 3 women. It's 3 women that said it got to the level of rape, and they're all people who returned after alleged, supposed, unevidentiated rape.
You fuckers put him in jail, and now we're getting fucking Bella Ramsey and all of our shit, and fucking Halle Bailey and shit like this. Shit's fucked, man.
Yeah, and that show Nappy, what is that? Oh no, wait, was that a show? I can't stand this. Like going all the way back to like my woke breaking point moment was Kavanaugh in the Kavanaugh trial. Like it really was. Like I lost my brain in that and I don't even like Kavanaugh. Like I do to this day. I think Kavanaugh is kind of a doink. But those allegations were so ridiculous, and then just people just assuming that they were true from there. The other one that's really weird is the guy from that 70s show. And what's strange about it is I believe that Russell Brand was a pest, a sex pest.
Oh yeah.
I believe that guy was a sex pest, but I do believe that it was consensual. But
every one of those women was really happy to get a chance with Russell Brand. They wanted it.
Or if they didn't, if it wasn't that, they have done shit at demonstrating it. If people are worried about due process and all this stuff, they have not demonstrated beyond a shadow of a doubt at all that 20 years later, just kind of randomly claiming it, that's proof of their allegation.
Well, you remember when they tried to Me Too Aziz Ansari?
Oh yeah, because just because of like an awkward.
There's a woman. Yeah, a woman.
He still hasn't really come back from that, has he?
No, I don't think so.
He was so huge and everywhere, and where is he?
Yeah, I guess I haven't seen him.
That's not even a thing we have to speculate about. The woman's accusation was, I went on a date with him. I went to his house. I voluntarily blew him. And then he didn't want to go out with me anymore. Rape.
Well, and he was weird about it. Like, he showed her his dick at a weird time and was like, you want to blow me? And she's like, And he's like,
I don't even think it was that. Like,
I can't remember. I remember him being cringy and me being like, oh man, if my brother told me about that story, I'd give him so much shit.
I mean, you go on a date, you ask a woman if she wants to come to your house. She says yes. You make out on the couch. She's into it. Then you say like, well, do you want to go further? She does. Like, I mean, it really was just a date. And then she claimed rape. Like, it was completely retarded. Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, he hasn't recovered from it.
With the Brand stuff, I'm pulling up like some of the history, and it looks like one of the women have some backing up text message stuff that she said to him, like when a girl says no, it means no, and he apologized.
Oh well, that's the thing. Like in the Giango Meshi thing.
Did that happen in the Giango Meshi?
Well, it was rough sex. And that's things like they claimed, oh, it's rough sex, but she sent a text saying, I love what you did to me. I love when your hands around, like, I want your hands around my neck. Like, I guess it's not exactly the same thing, but yeah, no, she texted a thing basically saying, I was into that. I love that. Oh, that's the thing I was going to say about Kavanaugh is that on Monday, all of the lefties went, she cried. That proves she's telling the truth. And then on Thursday, all the same people were saying, he cried. That proves he lied.
Well, still in the situations, he hasn't been convicted of like any sort of criminal thing. It's all those civil cases, just like the one that was brought against, which Divas covered on his channel, that was brought against Conor McGregor, which also was quite the bullshit case when I looked into that one. But just the assumptions of the stuff that, like, with stuff that hasn't been hard proved of any sort of criminal case and that sort of stuff. But I believe that Russell Brand was definitely a sex pest. I believe that. But
yeah.
You want to know how to avoid Me Too accusations is don't do weird shit. Like, I mean, even then you can't, because like Kavanaugh didn't even do weird shit. But like, if a girl tells you to choke her, like, just leave and never come back.
Yeah.
Like, because if a girl told me to do that, I'd be like, what? No, I'm about to do you. That means I like you.
Well,
I
this
don't
is
choke people that I like. What the fuck is wrong with you?
this is one of the exact points. Like the word she's going after in this one is atonement. I think I can get that, like, maybe somebody's using it cynically, but well, yeah, obviously it's been used cynically in history, you know. But then some people maybe aren't doing it. What the hell else is the guy supposed to do like 10, 15, 20 years later? And maybe Russell Brand's using it cynically or something like that. But I think the concept of consent can get just as bullshitty. And your concept of consent, Britt, like, in these cases, maybe there was some sort of situation of consent or something that was consent and then it was taken away after, which is what supposedly happened in the mattress girl situation and all that sort of stuff. 100% consensual.
I don't even believe that.
But then the next day she said, "Oh, I didn't want to do that really," and that sort of stuff. And I could totally see that happening in a situation with Brand. Like saying, like, "Ooh, I wanted to get rough. Ooh, I want to get rough. Oh, wait, no. Oh, no." And then it went too far. Then when I said no, it means no. Like, what happened between that there and that? Like, did he just push himself a little bit harder on her or something like that?
One no mixed in with 500 yeses.
Yeah, it's just not full evidence, but the world of consent and all that sorts of stuff, it just keeps kind of pushing back to that thing with, like, Peterson. Like, you guys push it back to, you freak out about the handmaid's tale or something like that. But honestly, the true answer out of this whole world is the sex should maybe be societally condoned through a marriage or something like that to avoid these situations. You know, that's maybe the one way to tackle it, to tackle all of the issues that you guys bring up with your supposed consent. Or I guess you could use those consent forms that we saw going around.
Month investigation where 4 women brought forth charges, and he says, yeah, before God, before I lived the light of the Lord, I was a drug addict and a schmex addict.
So I can't watch like a ton of the Russell Brand stuff. I'm not into it, but do you guys watch any of it?
No.
Do you think he's been sincere? He's been doing it for like years now. Do you think he's sincere?
Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say because it does feel like you either go the way of Aziz Ansari or you start an anti-woke podcast. Like, those are your options.
Well, he started doing this years before any accusation came out.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I suspect it's sincere. You're right.
No, like, he seems to have a real, like, he's sober.
He got married and he had a few kids. And after getting married and had a few kids, he started kind of switching and then went full Christian. And then the accusations, they came out like about a year ago. Then this stuff, he's been doing this for like 4 or 5 years. I don't know. But
that's things. I remember I watched Get Me to the Greek.
I thought that was pretty cool when I first saw it.
Like, I remember enjoying it. I remember nothing about it other than I thought, okay, that was all right. And I haven't had a desire to watch it since. And that's basically all of my exposure to Russell Brand until a couple years ago when I watched some of his podcasts, and even that wasn't that much.
I remember him like popping up and doing interviews around the place and making reporters jokingly uncomfortable in the interviews. Mm-hmm. And to me, at the time frame, the way he would talk to them, it seemed a whole lot like he was maybe a bit like a Stephen Fry type of just disarming and charming with people, and it would get a lot of coverage just because. And for some time frame, he was like a major sweetheart on Reddit. He was like a Reddit sweetheart. Let's see here. Oh, it looks like Colts is covering the Midnight Mormons and RFM debate.
The one from years ago, or did they have another
one?
one?
No, the one from years ago. It's got like a
yeah.
AI
I saw
version.
the AI thing. I was like, oh, I wonder if that meant they were doing another one.
No, I don't think they're covering another one or anything like that. That gal that we were talking about earlier who just got divorced, she said her LDS dad helped RFM lawyer dad, and still till his death, LDS helped RFM prepare for that debate, which is kind of weird.
Troy wants a summary of what we've talked about in one sentence. I sent you a video, and Troy should see it. It's the video I was looking for.
What is it?
It's the Mufasa video I was telling you about. It's been my latest Facebook reel obsession.
See, I remember this of Russell Brand like years ago. Hold on. Watch this.
Brian that he might want to disrobe. I'm just saying.
I just thought maybe I could loosen up a little, show a little more chest hair, and he said maybe I should do a little more.
This is like 2000, 2010 or something, like 11 years ago.
Yeah, he's kind of swaying in his chair like a little kid.
That is a very kind compliment. You also look beautiful. Brian, you are free to wear whatever you want. This is one of your freedoms that is afforded to you. I appreciate that.
Uh-oh.
Silver boots?
The boots are I want to see them. Come on. Put them on the table.
Kinky boots time.
Wow.
There are some boots.
Those are nice.
So whenever I think about this, because I remember he'd pop up and do these interviews everywhere, and the interviews would always turn into flirtations. And the way these flirtations would go, I'd just be like, come on. I don't, does this, it's back to that Kobe Bryant thing. Like Kobe Bryant got like accused of rape and all that sorts of stuff. And there's this whole deal of like, I could see maybe at the last second somebody pulling away and the guy still kind of kept going or something like that. But don't tell me you weren't hanging out with the dude alone because you didn't have like a major flirtation going on with him or something.
Yeah. Relax.
I wouldn't do that. I don't want to disrespect your program.
Okay, no.
You did ask to see.
No, I did, and I liked
a fellow English woman. So
and we
do obliged.
We talked about kinky boots recently. So
yes, it's a fantastic show. You have to go. Okay, Russell. Ooh,
sorry about that.
Oh, that's the gal married to what's his butt? The
Joe Scarborough.
Joe Scarborough, yeah.
That's all.
You just disrespected the table. Giant Jenga. It's like your desk is a puzzle.
It is. I'm sorry about that.
What is the solution?
I think we could look back.
Is this one going to get us in trouble if I don't comment on it? Like that Divas is a twat? Like
Divas is a twat.
Be careful because that's a low-cut dress.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I'm only flesh and blood. I've got instincts.
Oh, okay. Well,
tell me what you need to know.
I'm just going to have a drink here. Patty K, question.
Messiah Complex. That's the name of your tour?
Yes.
Do you
look at the way these gals just like totally start flirting with him? You watch the whole thing.
have one?
No. It's mental illness.
Right. And you don't have that either?
I hope that I'm here as a fully qualified professional gentleman.
None of us are.
Free from mental illness.
Free from it.
None of you. This is a hotbed of neurosis and psychosis.
Yes.
Oh, my word, I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah.
But Joe's not here, so there are no messiahs.
That's true. Although
Divas is a twat, if anybody doesn't.
So we actually bring more mental illness to the table than we admit, at least on this side here, for sure.
On this side.
So tell me about the tour. You're starting in Abu Dhabi. Is that where it begins?
Yeah, it's in a lot of Middle Eastern.
Oh,
I don't think
that's where he's heading.
Okay, I'm all right.
You shouldn't say he when a person is present. You should refer to the person by their name. That's basic good manners.
That is where Willie is heading.
Who is Willie?
I don't know. Okay, Russell Brand.
Is this what you all do for a living?
Yes.
Okay, but I'm here
professional.
Okay, well, let me help you. I'm here to promote a tour called the Messiah Complex. It's here for the people of America. I want the people of America to come and see me do.
I mean, he's already talking about like Christian stuff 11 years ago.
Go to russellbrand.tv where you can purchase tickets to see me. These people, I'm sure, are typically very, very good at their job. What is it? You're conveying news to the people of America.
Yes.
People of America, we're going to be okay. Everything's all right. These are your trusted anchors.
Leaning.
Is that a news link? Use your papers. I'll shuffle them for you.
Shuffle. Look.
Give us that.
That's good. Pen. You need a pen.
Okay, coming up later. Thank you very much, Kat. Okay, we're going to be talking about the situation with Edward Snowden. This whistleblower, is it good what he's done for America, or are our secrets being jeopardized by his intentions? We're going to be talking about that.
Divas is a twat.
Also, Bradley Manning. Is Bradley Manning an American hero, or is he compromising the safety of American troops? We care about your views here on Morning Joe. We'll be talking about those later. Here with me are Brian and Kat. Brian, nice time. What do you think about Edward Snowden? What do you think about the situation with Snowden? Have you got anything to hide? Should we be concerned about the revelations that are occurring?
I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah, something like
What am I saying? What am I talking about? Don't think about what I'm wearing. These things are redundant.
I'm distracted.
Superficial.
Okay.
Don't be distracted. What do you think that gesture means, the way you're touching that bottle? What does that indicate? What is that? What's the subtext of that?
I think we gotta go to break.
That's what I was trying to get to. I know, like he every single time he'd do like some sort of interview or something, he'd kind of put them in the some sort of flirtatious sexual spot like that, you know. So yeah, I totally believe he was some sort of sex pet. So
yeah, I mean, like why he's like, wait, you're telling me that women wanted to, like, they were turned on by the charming, wealthy, famous guy? Like,
I believe he just like swooped in on a rope, said, "Arr, I'm here for griping. I'm worse than a Jared. Jared's worse than me still. So, but you shall be raped. That's what I do. It's my favorite thing.
I'm coming to your house and committing a crime."
the
I don't know, I
rapist
guess-
beer chart with Jared at the very top.
But I guess the whole weird thing with Cosby is that like Cosby had some sort of fetish for it, right? Or it seemed like. Speaking of which, his trial was botched too. If you look into it,
Yeah, like, and are they going to retry him, or is he just too old?
he got out. Like he got out on a technicality that they said that he would not try him on that stuff in the first place. They gave him immunity, and they tried him for something that he had immunity for.
Yeah, because that thing's like the Cosby thing. Like, I don't know, because like I know there's a lot of people who say that he was a creep. I'm also just totally bothered by the fact that like he was tried and convicted on nothing more than 40-year-old testimony. Like no evidence.
That's what it is with all of these, though.
No evidence at all. Like if they'd even had like, oh, here's a picture of the pill bottle of the sleepy drugs that he didn't have a reason to have. Like, okay, well, there's some evidence, but like they didn't have anything.
Did you ever see that clip from the Cosby Show where he talked about he made barbecue sauce and his barbecue sauce made women horny for him? That's evidence.
Well, have you ever seen? I forget what it's called. There's an anime show. Fuck, I wish I remember what it's called. It's actually kind of amazing because the whole thing is about cooking and food, and like it's interesting because like it actually has like a lot of actual real like Alton Brown style like cooking knowledge. Like it's totally researched and super accurate. Like one of the things in this show is that like if you cook food good enough, it makes people's clothes fly off and they are just naked. Like they eat it and they're naked, and it's Japanese and it's wonderful.
I don't like Russell Brand. I mean, there's a reason I don't watch him in this stuff. It's not my cup of tea for sure.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, yeah, it doesn't like I don't dislike him. I've seen a lot of stuff where I'm like, oh, okay, I get it, but it's nothing that I've like. Because things I just had to look it up. I was literally just looking up on the side here. Like, why is he famous? And I guess he was a stand-up.
Yeah,
I've never seen a stand-up.
If you told me that Mika Brzezinski went and banged him like right after that whole talk that they had, I would not be surprised. And then she went and removed her consent later or something like that. You could tell that those two women were totally, completely flirting with him, like looking almost more thirsty than anything you see. And that's what would happen with him all the time back then. They would re-show him having live interviews and the women just being totally thirsty for him. That's because women are into twinks nowadays. Oh, that's a whole other thing that was coming up. That whole thing of that guy who got shredded on Twitter, and all the women said they preferred him with the dad bod, and then all the men said women are lying. I believe that they're generally lying too myself. But
that is my most controversial take I think I've done on TikTok.
I think we've covered this one before.
It's this quiet truth that Neil Brennan is playing with here. Watch this.
I don't know many black atheists, not none, just not many. I got a theory about why there's not many black atheists. Here goes. Atheism is really like the height of white privilege. It really is, because religion basically says, like, hey, can we interest you in an afterlife? And white people are like, oh, no, thank you.
Atheists love to say that the most violent countries are religious. Where I think atheists go wrong is they say, look at Sweden, look at Denmark, look at Japan. These countries that seem to have outgrown God are doing quite well. So then we say rationalism equals progress and religion equals backwardness. What
I wonder, it seems like there's some other demographics going on. I don't know.
we're missing now is that these countries were built on religious ideas. And those religious ideas allowed them to conquer and attain resources and build infrastructures and build social safety nets and build food security.
Do you remember that long video of that lady decrying that Germs and Steel book as racist? Do you remember that? Guns, Germs, and Steel.
No.
There
We
was
got
a
that
lady.
clicky noise back again. What was that last time?
Yeah.
The clicky noise?
Yeah.
There's a clicky noise. Mute your
And build-
microphone. Mute yourself, Chris.
Build social trust and build culture.
It's not the video.
And then over
It's-
time, if the
it's my
religion was
coffee pot.
successful and there was
Ah.
enough materials
Oh.
and resources, then you could then outgrow God. And so we'll look at these war-torn, very religious, very superstitious areas and say, why don't you guys just like embrace rationality and then you can be like Denmark? No. Religion offers a narrative of justice when there is no justice. Religion offers community when institutions fail. Religion offers a moral structure when moral education is impossible. So these societies aren't more religious because they're irrational.
We did cover
They're
this
more
one before,
religious
didn't we?
because they're fighting to
I
survive
don't
and they
know.
don't have the resources and means to be able to outgrow God. So the privilege comes when white educated atheists stand on this scaffold and say everybody needs to outgrow God because it's so superstitious and it's so irrational, when they don't realize they're standing on a foundation that was built by religion. They're standing on centuries of Christian moral conditioning. They're standing on generational wealth and education that was from colonialism. So Westerners will look at
So
highly
there's some
religious.
raging bullshit right there, though, which is like, oh, it's like there was the richest man who ever lived on Earth, as in terms of how much wealth he had compared to the global amount of wealth, was a Malian African guy in the Saharan desert. You know, and there was a time for many hundreds of years, Tanzania, Zanzibar. I mean, Zanzibar was one of the wealthiest places on Earth. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
in
a,
Africa.
it's a cycle. That's what I commented to on this, but I've just been on about it forever. It's a cycle. It's a sign of like just a civilization that's kind of older and past its like young religious upstart ideas, and it becomes more philosophical. The only problem is up until now, it's generally a sign that place is going to start dwindling and falling apart. Usually because they stop breeding. And if they stop breeding, and then at some point or another, some barbarian but young and self-believing nation comes in and kills them.
Did you see the fucking racist dingbat Whoopi Goldberg and the other one on The View? They were talking about how because Trump is proposing
Joy Reid. Yeah, I actually
Trump
have
is
the
proposing
clip
an extra
somewhere.
$5,000 for women to have babies, and they say, "Oh, it's white supremacy."
And they said that the reason that that Rome fell was because they became white supremacists and didn't. And you can actually chat GPT that and see that the opposite is part of the truth. Not that there wasn't just like one reason like why Rome fell, but one of the reasons is they started getting huge amounts of immigration from all over the world, and they couldn't keep together the single concept of their empire. I think I have that clip somewhere. It's from a Fox News clip.
I watched some guy talking about like apparently like in the Ivy League, Harvard type world, there's this whole thing where scholars want to say that Carthaginians were black or something like that. It's part of the whole Cleopatra's black type thing, and it's just silly and wrong, and it's like it's not true.
Yeah.
And why does it fucking matter to you? You know.
Yeah, here's the clip. A Fox Newser. I accidentally watched a Fox News clip.
Oh hell.
Fox News.
Historically illiterate intellectually vapid things I've ever heard in my life. I can't believe she got a degree at Harvard. So between her and David Hogg, they're really knocking out some bangers there.
Both of these people look like they were carved out of a block of wood.
Thank you for that commentary, so I didn't have to say Divas was a twat.
You know why MSNBC fired her, because that's one of the stupidest things that I've ever heard. There's a multitude of things that played into that, but you know what? Not having a national identity,
Did they not have the clip?
too much, growing too much, and incorporating too much. That's one of the things that did it. And in the United
That's
States,
Dana
our
Loesch.
national identity is freedom. And when you use CRT and get everybody fighting,
Who's this
against
Dana Lash? Is she just a commentator, or was she some like?
I know that her name has been associated with Donald Trump, and so she's bad.
Oh, did you see this dude that tried to impeach Trump?
Yeah.
And he's like a 70-year-old Indian guy saying, "Hey, I'm gonna impeach him because of the because like I think Dave Smith was talking about it. He's like, you guys, just your optics. Like, not only do they implode everywhere and this stuff, but they have this guy who can't even speak English very well there to impeach Trump over his immigration policies, and he's got all sorts of weird stuff in his history too. Like he's like 70 years old and he's had all this like plastic surgery done, but he's got some of that stuff like Fauci did, where he did a bunch of experiments on dogs and stuff like that.
You trying to tell me that hair isn't natural?
I don't think so. I can't tell with hair, man. I'm not good with that sort of thing. Where is it? Oh, here's the Joy Reid thing. Here we go.
Any better at it. And Joy Reid says, you know what the problem is? The whites.
We're a nation of the strongest parts of each community on earth. If you take that away and try to distill us just down to white folks, we'll be like Europe, an aging, slowly dying.
Oh, she's making the Toynbee and Oswald Spengler point.
Hold on
former empire. The Roman Empire didn't survive because it didn't have enough strength in its diversity. It suppressed its diversity and it died. If the U.S. wants to be the Roman Empire, keep voting the way you're voting, y'all.
Like, that's okay. Like, I don't know very much about Roman history, but I know enough to know that that is exactly fucking wrong.
It couldn't be much more wrong.
She's almost making the same point that I was making there, but the point is that
I just know from listening.
It's not
to
because they become
about-
brittle that they're just inbred or something like that. It's because they stop breeding. Not that they need to bring in more immigrants; they need to keep breeding. But I don't think any nation does keep breeding pretty well. I think that's just kind of so far what seems to be the way of the world. That when you get just like the suicide, it's a cosmic problem. It's a Thomas Sowell problem. Just like when you get more affluent, suicides go up. When you get more affluent, birth rate goes down. And Christopher Hitchens talked about this. I bring it up all the time. He talked about it forever ago that the way to get Islam to be better to women and stop breeding so much is to modernize them. I think that actually came up over on the Longhouse this week, that they noticed that the biggest drop in birth rate over the past 10 years happened with Mormons. Not because they're the lowest, but they had the biggest sink. And the biggest sink was like they were at 5 or something, and now they've sunk down to just barely over 2. And modernity comes for everybody. Like you say, like I used to say, hey, guess what? It's not going to be Star Trek. It's going to be Mormons and Islam. But the problem is that the modernity is coming for Islam and Mormons too. Like their birth rates are also starting to plummet the more they get affluent, and it falls down. But Christopher Hitchens always said, if we want to deal with that population problem, just help everybody get affluent. Help them all get affluent, and it'll just take care of itself. And he was right about that, you know. But then you hit the other thing where Elon Musk starts saying, well, we better start having kids. But that's been one of the, Jonathan said he was talking to some of those top influencers about antinatalism, and that they think maybe antinatalism isn't part of the problem. But if you listen to Kara and that other gal talking their thing today, they both say that I'm glad I have kids, but I wish I didn't have kids because what could I be doing with my life? But I'm glad I wish I didn't have kids. And but man, I just would have had them at an older age. And that was the point, because we bring up, like Jared and I are on with Jacob talking about John and Lynn's kids making kind of different choices with their lives. And the point was like I dragged myself under the bus with that too. I missed generally the chance of having kids because of farting off into hedonistic, more fun lifestyle than hunkering down and having some religious bunch of kids or something like that. And you might have missed it. But both Kara and that gal don't realize. They say, I would have liked to just done it older and maybe had one kid, or they probably wouldn't have. Like if they just like started having fun and doing their thing.
Crazy to me, because anytime I think of having kids, I always think, man, if I did it again, I'd start younger.
Yeah, and if I could do it again, I would. Yeah, I would start younger or bust them out when I was a young.
I mean, like I was probably like, I wasn't super old. I was like 25, I think, when my first kid was born. But still, I would have probably had him like maybe 2 years into my marriage instead of 5 years in.
Yeah, and I myself, although I guess De Niro and Pacino both just had kids in their 80s or something like that. But it's not likely in my current dating scenario. But even if it did happen, I'd be petrified that I'd have, just like for the ages, that it would be a 50-50, that they'd be just as autistic as me. Why did the empire fall? Like one of the things that people bring up is like the invasion of the barbarians, right? There it is. Well, I'm on the chat GPT, right? So it's like the opposite of what she said. But it is true that a lot of those older nations and civilizations fall apart. That's what Arnold Toynbee, if you read Toynbee, he was a major historian and all that stuff. I think he studied over 135 different civilizations. And it's one of the things that like you kind of generally hope, like the reason like you look at it and announce it and start getting honest about it in a Daniel Dennett way is that maybe this is the first time we can stop and use our brains and look at it and say, hold up here. If we kind of go this direction, we kind of tend to fall apart. So maybe like that pro-natal movement, like Elon Musk is, or those other people can start. Although I don't know if doing it the Elon Musk way is the best way of doing it.
Yeah.
Would you guys do that though if you had like
no
80 bajillion dollars?
Well, I mean, I hope not. I'm saying.
I'm not saying bang them all. I'm saying spread the seeds.
No, I mean, okay.
13 kids. How many kids you got?
That's 11 or 13.
But supposedly it's only a few of them that came through the actual act.
Oh, so he just yeah. No, I wouldn't do that. Like
them like cars.
I'm saying if I were the richest man in the world, I would probably do a whole bunch of stupid hedonistic shit. But like ideally, if I'm the richest man in the world, I'd still just have one wife, and we just have kids naturally.
Yeah, some of them were born from in vitro surrogacy, fertilization. I've heard this is like as low as just a couple of them.
See, I never knew that. I just assumed he banged a lot of chicks because he was a billionaire.
The only thing to do it more, supposedly that redheaded no, not the redheaded. There was some libertarian gal that he did it with just recently, and it was all just an arrangement. But then now they're all blowing up because she's mad that she's not getting paid enough in the arrangement, and he never went to go meet the kid or anything like that. He's like, well, it was basically like a sperm donor, but I said I'd support you some. But she's mad that she's not getting enough of the support out of it.
She's just mad because her Tesla broke and he won't fix it.
Yeah, but that's those like weird looking base camp dudes that I brought up on here sometimes. That's like one of the worlds that they're preaching. They're preaching have all the babies, have all the babies, have all the babies, no matter what. You
called them the wood elves. I laughed a minute.
But they have conferences of people who are like doing this. So saying they got to keep. It's almost kind of like the way the polygamists used to think. Only they're kind of more thinking of it on like a techno bro level of stuff.
Yeah, but don't techno bro wife and kids. Don't.
That's a little bit too Lebensborn.
It's a little bit too much of an autistic answer to the problem. But the thing is that there are people who really actually looked at the problem. And I think Daniel Dennett too, but Daniel Dennett was saying, well, let's have a philosophical answer to this, not some weird tech bro answer to this. But that's just the whole point, is maybe for the first time out of all those different civilizations, you can stop and look at it and be somebody like Jared and saying, no, do it, do the family, and start getting the kids younger instead of just letting it dwindle and fall away first, because you can stop and look at it and say, hold up here.
That's the thing, is like the church teaching is, don't put off kids if you can do it. Which is funny because like the ex-Mormons keep translating into have kids at any cost, no matter what, no matter how poor you are, how unprepared you are. And it's like, no, that's never been what the church said. What the church has said is, if you can, do it. Don't put it off. Which is like, yeah, that's the good advice.
Troy says we just need to upgrade ourselves into smexy robot bodies, Mormon transhuman, and for the win.
Roboties.
I guess that could work. Blue Meanie says he's got a friend in the late 50s with 5- and 6-year-old kids. Not so happy. I feel like I would be happy if I ended up somehow having some kid happen. I would be happy about it. But maybe I just have to go get into one of those lines for a white kid. I mean, any kid in an adoption thing. No, just kidding. I would take any race of kid.
Well, I've thought about that before because, like, when you have kids, the thought of because, like, I knew this dude, this absolute idiot. He had kids, divorced his wife. He's got like child support, and he's so stoked because he was almost done with child support. His last kid was about to be done, and he's like, finally, I'll have all this extra money. And then in the same weekend, he knocked up his girlfriend and his ex-wife.
Oh my gosh!
And he was like 50, and I feel like, ugh, oh man, having a kid at that time, that sounds, because my kids will be older when I'm 50, and then I thought about it because there's this other guy who was like in his 50s and getting married, and he's like, you think I should have kids? And I was like, shit, I don't know what to tell you because like you haven't had kids. It would be difficult, but I'm like, man, I think if I hadn't had kids and I had the opportunity to do it at 50, I'd probably do it.
If you're not broke and you've
Yeah,
got like
it's-
retirement coming,
I'm 45. I would totally take one right now, but I also wouldn't upend the situation I'm in to make it happen on my end. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Yeah, I'd go for it. But at the same time, too, maybe you could get into a little bit more affluence and get into the adoption scene and all that sort of stuff or whatever. But I don't know. At least all those different people are looking at it, and I think natalism and antinatalism are a big part. I don't think we were told that generally a lot of those influencers think it's a nothing burger, and I think it's kind of an everything burger of one of the arguments of why religion wins is because they can outbreed, but even they are subject to modernity. But I mean, that is the ultimate argument of the pragmatists, of William James and all those guys. Like, what's true or not true? If what is false keeps winning out, and that's just is what gets repeated and repeated and repeated, but that's what outbreeds the other thing again and again and again. And so it's just here. How do you not even say that's not what's true because it lives and survives and thrives? But maybe if you get your brains around it, like Daniel Dennett was saying to people, you know, we could beat the thing or make it sustainable. Did you see all the stuff that Klaus Schwab got outed as being like a mooch and a sex pest and all that stuff? That was just in the news today. He's out.
Shocking.
Yeah, but I just thought of that when I said sustainable, because like all the different people with the futuristic ideas of how we're going to have a sustainable economy and all that stuff. I mean, all just the planned stuff. I don't know. I don't have answers, man. All I do is look at stuff and say, it all could be one thing or it all could be 50. That's it. I don't know. Like, because like even like complaining about that stuff that Trump's trying to do, it's like saying I believe in a free economy, open free markets, and I also think that just GDP line go up thing is a bit too much, and you got to do some protectionism, and you know with the families, people got to be pro-natalist, but you can also see it getting out of hand like one way or the other direction. Like I don't know what the answers with any of this shit is.
There's definitely, I don't know, because my sisters didn't have kids, and I mean they're past it now, I think, pretty much, other than with miracle science. And with them, I think it was 100% about feminist type ideology.
Yeah.
Just general leftism. They think that, I don't know.
Yeah, it just happens. I mean, Jacob was not wrong to bring that up about like what's probably going to happen with like the Lynn's future family, because it's happening to all like the modernizing families. And if you listen to those different ex-Mormon women influencers, most of what they're saying is like the entire oppressive framing of their universe is that they might be in the kid situation. You know?
Yeah, that seems like it. when I was younger, I was like when I was a kid, like a teenager, I'm like, oh, I don't want to have kids. And I think it was a lot of it had to just do with that my family life was, dysfunctional to say the least. But that's one thing. Is like, because I'm looking at my kid now, and because he's had a girlfriend, for a while, and like, I don't know, I haven't talked to him, but like, I can tell you, like, my wish is like, dude, fucking have kids, like, do it.
No, I know. I was the same way. I didn't
fucking do it. Like, don't wait and wait and wait and wait.
My life is just 100% of I'll do what I'm gonna do, but it'll happen when the right situation comes just right. But I'm gonna have fun in the meantime, and then it just like the exact perfect situation never hit. And
no, that's the thing. Is like, that's exactly how I feel like, because I think everybody's like waiting for like that ideal situation, and that's things like because I look at like some of my cousins, like I've brought up many times, my aunt and uncle that are the paragon of Mormonism, in that like they are super duper duper faithful Mormons. They are totally cosmopolitan and cool. They are extremely open and loving and have been all around the world. And like, like that's things like they are as Mormon can be. My uncle was a bishop. They have extremely high level calling with the church right now. And I do mean like high level calling, like they are unpaid people, but they travel around the world and meet with foreign dignitaries on behalf of the church. And like, I know I've brought it up before, but I ended up like one of the weirdest situations in my life that got set up by my aunt and uncle was I talked to the consul general of the Republic of Georgia in a hotel lobby about wine, because my aunt and uncle were talking to the consul general of Georgia, and they're like, "Oh, our nephew is into wine," because he was talking about Georgian wine. And so I ended up talking to this guy. It was one of the craziest things that ever happened to me, right? Super cosmopolitan. And they had the most amazing marriage. They have the most amazing marriage. Like I've even talked to my cousins about it. And like even my cousins who were raised by them are like, I don't get it. Like what they have is so special, But like most of their kids got married and had kids, and like they're put together and they're cranking out babies. And like, they had 9 kids. And at this point, I don't know how many grandkids they have, probably at least a couple dozen, maybe more. And like, I just look at that and be like, how the fuck did they not win? That's them. They're winning. They fucking won at life. They did it all right. And, like their kids are doing it right. And like, obviously there's a trick to this,
Yeah,
and I think part of it is that things like you don't necessarily have to believe the magical things about Mormonism, but the nuts and bolts of it, of like, be loyal to your family, be good, mow your lawn, take care of your neighbors, and have kids. Like that's.
Or if there's something to learn from it, like why can't the post-religious or atheist community learn from it? Like why can't you say that's winning? How do we learn from it? Which I think is all Daniel did.
Oh yeah, you see the biggest smile on my dad's face was just last year when he was telling me, he's like, okay, I think if everything works out this year, it's going to be the first year I get 4 grandkids in 1 year. And he's like, I bet you'll have a kid next year. And Morgan wasn't pregnant then. He's like, and Ryan, he always just kind of has kids, so he'll probably have one. Casey just got married. Casey just got married, so he'll probably get talked into having a kid, I think. And Megan's already pregnant, so. And then turned out exactly as he said, so he's pretty stoked right now. It's his favorite thing in the world.
Troy says, I turned 56 this month. I have 2 boys, 30 and 28. Both live with their long-term girlfriends, but neither want to get married or have children. Yeah, the Victor Davis Hansen was saying the same, that he came from like his parents had like 8 or 9 kids, and then he said between all those kids, there's like 4 grandkids, and none of them are married yet, and none of them have kids yet. He's like, it's just astonishing to watch it just kind of fade off or fall off, and it's far and happening far and wide. But
it's also like, it's also tragic because like when I think about that, like, because like I am fortunate, I guess is a word for it, that I have progeny, because the way it happened to me was not the way that should go.
Not ideal.
And yet, but like, and then I gotta think about it, where it's like, holy shit, like I am like 5 billion years of life had to succeed for me to happen. And then like, so when I look at my kid and I'm like, well, come on, man, keep it going. Like, like don't let it stop there, and like look at my sisters, like in as screwed up as they are. I'm like, no, come on. Like you're not that bad. Fucking do it.
I didn't have your home life. I had a good family relationships, attentive mom and dad who just had normal person flaws. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think they looked like it was tough. I don't want to do it because it looked like it was tough. And then Morgan talked me into having a kid, and I get my first kid, and I'm holding him like, I would fucking die for you. You get that the first time, you're like, oh my God.
No, it's the most religious thing that ever happened to me that didn't involve power psychedelic drugs, like having a kid. Because like that thing's like, it wasn't something I planned for. It was basically thrust upon me. And yet when it happened, I was like, oh, okay, this is the only thing that matters from now on. It's a magical thing. But yeah, like that's I don't know.
I can tell you guys too something that you probably won't understand and can't understand, because I know that I can't understand that feeling. Flip's talked to me about it forever. It's just like when the click and the flip flips over, and I totally believe it, because like you have something like you're crazy about your dog, and people say it's not like kids, and you're like, yeah, I know it's not. Yeah, I know it isn't. But the feeling of it sinking in that it's passed me by, and I didn't do that on purpose. Like it is like everything Peterson says, and I can imagine people being less chill about it than I am, and it hits me kind of like a ton of bricks often, like it didn't happen. Like I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And I can imagine people being even far more devastated about that. And I don't think you guys can imagine how that actually hits, because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, even my mom asked me about you. It's like what's his plans? Doesn't he want to have children? I'm like, oh, he's got his weights and his dogs. He's got other things going on, Mom. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I mean, I had girlfriends all along too, and I was just extra. Let's make this happen just right. And if it's going to be right, it's going to be after a marriage, and it's going to be how this all goes. And then each one of those girlfriends just kind of didn't work right. And just next thing you know, you turn around, you're 45, and you're like, ah. And in my head, I don't know why, I always had in my head that 45 was about the answer of when it was going to be. I had that in my head since I was young. But the other thing is too, is like you hit a situation where you do now have girlfriend. Like my last few girlfriends and current situation are now people who are done or past that or don't want that. And so I can't force it on them. And so then you're just like, well, I've either got to be the world's biggest asshole or Elon Musk and dump him and say, I need some breeding poon or something like that.
There is an answer.
Or I have to be a human, but being a human means that I'm letting that slide. I'm letting it slip by. It didn't happen.
The answer is sister wives.
Or Elon Musk. Like I could do spread my seed through money. I just got to get $1 billion. But
you just do a bunch of sperm donation. You like post a picture of yourself in a bodybuilding competition.
You do maybe I'll do that just to make sure that
you'll have more kids.
I would have liked the fatherhood experience.
Yeah,
and stuff
I know.
Like that. But I cannot describe how much I did not do that on purpose. I also didn't actively go push for it, or anything like that. But I did not on purpose not have kids. It just happened at me, like is going to happen to so many others.
Yeah.
Troy says one of my worries with AI in the near term is that people are starting to use it like it's authoritative. In my experience, it hallucinates and gets stuff wrong all the time. We need to be skeptical. I totally agree with that. Like 100%.
Troy, were you here when we talked about that Mormon apologist guy who asked AI for a bunch of prophet quotes? I don't remember what the subject was, but it just fucking made him up.
Yeah.
Somebody caught him on it, and he's like, okay, my bad. And it's funny. I laugh at him and stuff like that. But yeah, but also it's kind of like you're used to Google, and Google has its problems. But when you say Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, it's gonna pull up.
Oh, whatever.
It's not as specific. It's not as specific as AI, but it'll pull up actual things he said. Yeah. It's logged in actual databases.
Yeah, it's not going to manufacture something that looks very much like something he would say. Yeah. But like, yeah, if you can ask it to to just pick up where Joseph Smith left off, it'll go, and you won't know the difference.
it blows my mind too sometimes how right it is, because sometimes I'll have it look something up for me that I'm already generally pretty good at and pretty aware of, and it'll do pretty good, and especially it's been helpful like at work and stuff like that, like big time. And I'm very aware of what I'll have it type something up for me that I could sit down and spend the next 2 hours typing, but let's see what ChatGPT says. And then it pumps out and I read it and I'm like, that's pretty good. And I'm the one who knows well enough to know if it's pretty good, but I also have to double check it because it could get weird or off and not hit stuff exactly right. But it's wild. It's crazy stuff. Listen to this though, like this could happen to you in life. I also think about this because I had 2 grandparents get Alzheimer's and that sort of stuff. And when they got Alzheimer's, they got real loopy at the end. And you can get all kind of nihilistic and be like, well, you end up like that anyway. But I think that's a bullshit thing. But this gal gave this thing and it cracked me up because, I still have all the memories of my grandparents, even though they kind of lost it. And their last few years. But this gal says this.
My grandma had dementia before she passed away. And I will never forget one of the last things she told me. She looked at me dead in the eye and she said, "You are the ugliest little boy I have ever seen."
The first time I was listening to that, I thought she was going to give some wisdom. She got.
My grandpa's got dementia. And anytime I see him, he asks me, "Y'all got any snow up in your part right now?" I live 15 minutes away from him. And it's funny because my grandma tries to like remind him of reality, and you just can't do that. She's like, "No, Ed, he lives right over there. We don't have snow, so he's not going to have snow either." I'm just like, "Grandma, shut up. Just no, we don't. We don't have any snow up there."
Yeah, he's going. My grandpa, the last time I saw him, I'm a big old man, and he was around me much more than I was a little kid. He was scared of me. He didn't know who I was. Like, who's this guy coming up and hugging me? And it changes nothing. You know what I mean? It doesn't. I could just had Alzheimer's. It doesn't change.
I'm a little like I'm kind of relieved. It's like my dad. Like I think his heart killed him before his brain completely went, because he was starting to go the last couple of years.
My grandma had pretty bad dementia at the end, but she could still pretty frequently come back and remember you. It's just
I know my great uncle. Like I remember when I was a little kid, I remember my dad having to leave because they got a call from the home that my great uncle wandered off, and my dad and all my uncles would get in their cars and just drive around the neighborhood.
Well, I know some different older guys who got pervy in their dementia, and I get afraid that could happen too. Like I don't want to be a pervy dementia patient.
Well, there's some of them get violent.
Oh, that'd be even worse.
It's that Robert Moore guy who
that Joe Biden dude. No, I'm just kidding.
No, there was that guy that he wrote a bunch of like Jungian books. I read a couple of them, and I was like, I haven't seen him do anything in a while, and I looked it up, and he got bad dementia and ended up killing his wife and himself, which is wild.
Yeah, that's something like, because my job now has me going around to all kinds of medical facilities, including rehab. And there's a couple of rehabs that are very obviously specializing in dementia. And that's a trip. In fact, like, I don't know, like
people's bodies are living so long, they're all living to points to where they're all running into that.
Yeah, I know the people that work there, like I admire them, but also I just wonder, like, how the hell do you deal with it? Like, I don't know. It must give you perspective, like working in one of those places, because, like, especially when somebody, like, once a week somebody dies, and you're just like, okay, well, there's another one.
My grandma jaded to anything.
My grandma was positive one of them was still in her remote control. And, she wasn't, of course. And
I don't know. There was a case just in Utah in the last couple of years. The guy just got convicted that, and he was the son of, I don't know, like a mayor or some kind of police chief, some kind of like important public person. But some 18-year-old kid just got sentenced to prison for raping elderly, demented people in the place.
Oh yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ, what the hell's going on there? That's Chris Chan times 1,000.
I know.
Well, you remember those clips that came out a while back where some of them were beating the crap out of those.
Oh yeah, that one. That's
Oh yeah, that's that makes you see red. That's fucking evil.
that's the other thing with my job. Like I haven't been there back since, but because like somebody had to show me what they do every day, and one of the things they go into the hospital and they have to pick up things from the gross pathology lab, and like not gross as in I'm making that, they call it like the gross pathology lab, and like she warned me before I go in there. We went in there like, you know, like so just so you know, when you open this door, there might be limbs.
No.
And I went in there and there was just a leg.
No way.
There was a leg with two pathologists cutting it up and getting samples of slides for pathology. The one thing I have not had, like it still might potentially happen, but I was warned about is like there's a place in the hospital in the maternity ward, and there's this door, and she told me like they put up a picture of a butterfly on the door. And that's to tell you that there's a dead baby in there that they are prepping for pathology.
Oh man!
And like I was like, Jesus Christ! I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, but it's something that could happen.
Maryland dad.
There we go. Let's talk about family.
Do you remember like when they were making all those like CGI things of like Disney things like this, and then the CGI things blocked them from being able to do it? Let's listen to Canadian Mufasa.
Yeah, it's me, your fucking dad, back from the dead. Can you fucking believe that shit, buddy? I'm actually kind of fucking choked right now, though, man. Like, are you working or what? No. How could I? Yeah, step number one is you're gonna have to stop hanging out with that fucking pig and that rat all day, buddy. You're lucky I don't call Rat Patrol on you right now and fucking take that little thing out. Secondly, do you even have a fucking pair of Steelies right now? You're literally useless. How can I go back? I'm not who I used to be. Who gives a fuck about your feelings, buddy? You think I like going to work 12 hours a fucking day just to put diapers on? Father? Yeah, it's...
You guys ever watch was it Letterkenny?
Yeah, I watched a little bit.
I need to watch.
I watched the first season, or so. But no, that cracks me up. And Trailer Park Boys, man, that's great for dialect.
Oh.
Although that's
I need to watch more of both of them.
I love Trailer Park Boys.
That was one of those shows that was really, really good until the later seasons when it all.
Yeah, it gets. Well, part of it is that Leahy died, and he was.
I heard
like,
it stayed good all the way through. Who died?
Leahy,
Mr. Leahy.
Oh,
like the guy who won't wear a shirt.
Randy. He does
won't wear a shirt.
Yeah, Randy is still turning tricks for cheeseburgers in the Blockbuster parking lot.
Also, just like the gag that never it's one of those things where it's like I don't know why it stays funny no matter what is the bottle kids. Where just like just kids who throw bottles at cars.
One of my favorite gags is Julian always having a rum and coke in his hand. Like one time he goes over to see Ricky, and Ricky's drinking rum and cokes, and he's already got one in his hand, and Ricky's like, "Hey, bud, you want a rum and coke?" And he's like, "Oh, sure," and he just hands him another one. Or they get in a police chase in season 2, and they get in a rollover crash, and they crawl out of the wreckage, and Julian's still got his half full glass of rum and coke, like it didn't spill somehow.
Trailer Park Boys is the first ever appearance of your fantasy boyfriend.
I know, my boyfriend.
What?
Yeah, it's Ellen Page.
Elliot Page's first job. Elliot first. She's Mr. Leahy's daughter.
No way.
Yeah,
she was a little girl on that.
She was like 12 or 13. He was a 12 or 13-year-old little girl.
how
incredible acting. Looked just like a 13-year-old Canadian chick.
Wow.
Yeah,
amazing.
He can really pull off female parts.
Yeah,
that's my man.
Who wins 100 showers versus 1 accountability?
Oh, fuck. You're so good. If you're such a good person, you're just so higher minded than me and everyone else. You have no idea the difference between a man and a woman. Oh my God. It's just what I can't even tell. I don't even know the difference. There's really no difference. The man and a woman. We're still the same. Then why do we even have women's sports? Let's get rid of women's sports. Let's just.
I think that's what you were saying there for a while and that stuff. But I don't know. that's about all of them. There's not that many jokes in there. What was this episode even? It was just general potpourri and Divas is a twat.
Divas is a twat.
Divas is a twat. That's for sure.
Yeah, we didn't. And the Trump stuff. I still am cool with anybody who isn't digging the Trump stuff. Just dig for the reasons why this stuff might be getting done, or if there's any sort of backing or some sort of idea of what, there's ideas behind it all. And I don't think all those ideas are stupid.
Just like Kendall told Maven, your ideological opponents aren't doing what they're doing out of malice. Probably they think they have a good reason for doing it. I'd say they're probably not doing it out of pure stupidity either.
Yeah. I think that's about everything. Oh, I got some indie songwriter accent. You've seen that a million times.
Oh God.
I think that's about it. Yep. I don't have any other stuff. So, unless there's more Canadian voiceover.
You get the Indian, the indie songwriter accent. TV's as a twite.
TV's
a twite.
A twite. Yeah. No, nothing else in there. Oh, yeah. Nope. There's just this question right here. This is us for us.
What are we doing? What in God's name are we doing? What? Our lives. What kind of lives are these?
That's just the final question.
Yeah, that's a 10-year-old meme, but a musician is somebody who loads $5,000 worth of equipment into a $500 car to drive 50 miles to make $200.
Yep. Anyway, Divas is a twat.
Giant twat.
So, thanks for hanging out. I'm a cast member. Oh, we didn't even get the Quaku stuff. Quaku's been on them.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's my whole name today. I actually listened to Ward Radio today, and it always cracks me up because there's such hacks. In today's episode was breaking news. The Mormon Church controls its messaging. Breaking news, everyone.
It's a caste system. This is a kind of big deal because they don't let Meldrum. They removed Meldrum from being able to advertise, and he was advertising like $10,000 a quarter or something like that in some of their things, and they won't let him advertise in their stuff anymore.
I'm just it's funny how they, on the one hand they cop to it, and yet they seem to completely miss the point that hey, have you noticed that the church is just another corporation?
Mm.
What?
Well, where are you on the caste system?
Oh, I'm not allowed anywhere except for here.
In Mormonism and ex-Mormonism.
Whatever caste it is.
Somebody said in the comment section of the Mormonism After Dark episode of you can go to porch side, but you got to watch out for that flip.
Did they? I missed that.
You didn't see that? It was posted in one of the other things. Somebody.
Yeah,
I think they posted in Longhouse.
Watch out for me. How? I'll let you say exactly what you think and tell you what I think in response. Watch out.
That's pretty rough shit to do.
Yeah, somebody posted that somewhere. It might be posted in Longhouse somewhere. Yeah, it's in the Longhouse. Somebody posted it.
I think I'm one notch on the caste system above Flip because I'm not kicked out of Thoughtful Saints.
Well, no, again, I was never kicked out of Thoughtful Saints. I just got tired of being this is the thing that pisses me off about Jacob is that because he blocked me for some of the the way Hayden blocked Kevin. It was that kind of thing. But also he's like, well, I get a lot of complaints about you. And I know for a fact that 2 or 3 of those complaints were from feminist lurkers that never participate. They just reported me for shitting on feminism. And I know that. But Jacob's like, okay, well, that's good enough for me. You fucking douchebag.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. I think somebody. Where is it? I think I found it. Just avoid flip from porch time. Yikes. Yeah.
Yikes. Risto left Thoughtful Saints. Why'd you
You
leave?
left them? There it
Yeah.
is, flip. Just avoid flip from porch time. Yikes.
Who's that? Ursula. Oh,
Have you fought with that person? Do you
that
recall fighting with
rings
that
a
person?
bell.
Sounds like a
Rings a
Power
bell.
Ranger villain.
Dang it, I gotta go to bed, but I want to know the story of why Risto left it.
He says, are you in lobsters? You're in lobsters, right, Flip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hardly ever post any of them anymore. I just kind of read stuff and go, eh.
Get in a fight with Scott.
Scott Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize Risto left it. Risto got banned from Mormon discussions though. MD. It's, they say in Diva's Land. But we'll have to ask him about it next time. But maybe we'll save the Kwaku stuff for the future. I don't know. It's weird because Kwaku in that cast one, Flip, came out in defense of Meldrum, and he even spoke at this conference and came out in defense of all those Republicans. But just last week, we were going to talk about him posting all over Twitter that if you are Republican at all, you're a Nazi. I mean, he
Quake
said it.
said this? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you remember it was last week. We were going to actually have the slide.
Not very thoughtful and not very saintly. You don't say.
But then this week he's defending Meldrum. Like that doesn't.
Like, well, he defended Meldrum for being a good Latter-day Saint.
But he also went and he said they're all good, nice guys. You could rib them about being Republican. He said that. You remember that in the episode today?
Yeah, he double talks a lot.
See, here it is. Maybe he backed off of this because I didn't follow the whole Twitter thread. I disavow anything Republican or conservative.
Oh, that's right.
Said, mark my words, your grandchildren will associate the word Republican with the same venom as the Soviet Confederate. And then just today, was that just today, that one? Ward Radio. More. Do you agree with him that like Alyssa Grenfell does less than just a snooty soccer mom?
I mean, I don't follow her close enough to know too much, but she seems. I like it. She is kind of mysterious to me how she got so much traction so fast. Like she's not very original at all.
Buddies with Alex Boyer. He had me come and speak. I made jokes about them being old conservative boomers.
His right-hand man is Brill Hernandez
Like,
from East LA that looks like a Mesoamerican.
Like, dude, they are so open-minded. I stood on stage and said, "You guys are old Republicans," and they went, "Ha, ha, ha. He's funny." Like, these guys literally, these are not bigots. It's
Oh, there you go.
So how does that jive? I mean, maybe he corrected himself because this was like
if he wants to
422.
backpedal, like obviously off ramp. We'll give you the off ramp, but yeah, you're directly contradicting yourself there, Kwaku.
Maybe he backed off of it somewhere between that and follow the entire Twitter thing.
Maybe, I don't know. Like Kwaku is a charming guy, but he's not a deep thinker.
If he's getting into magical stuff, he's read a lot. You know what I mean? So I don't know if like deep think, like what does deep think mean? I think he can pile in a bunch of information in his brain, but is that deep thinking?
Yeah, no, he can do that. I don't know.
Sometimes when he talks about like all the stored up knowledge that he has on different weird things through history, I get just kind of impressed that it's almost kind of like a Wikipedia of weird esoteric groups. And but is that deep thinking or is that just regurgitating Wikipedias of stuff? But then he's into that Gnosticism or whatever sort of deal. But I mean, even in that same episode, he went on some sort of rant about some group of people that I'm like, I've never heard of those guys. You don't remember that?
I don't know. It all runs together.
All right. Anyway,
I'm falling asleep here.
Yeah.
I stayed long. I stayed an hour and a half longer than I planned to.
We went a half hour longer than we planned to. So,
well, hot day.
Well, that's how long it takes to say that Divas is a twat.
There's a lot to go over.
Wait, no. We need to match Maven and do 4.5 hours of Divas is a twat. He's a big twat.
I vow that if we get any more strikes or any more copyright problems, because it just means that I didn't give enough commentary, that I will quadruple down on my Divas is a twat commentary. I vow.
All right.
All right, everybody.
Thanks for hanging out.
See ya.
Later.
Bloop.